Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM show. It's another day, another week, another opportunity for us to meet and continue contributing our quota to the development of Mother Ghana. Because look, however this country is, however you see it, this is the one that you got as your home. And home is where the heart is. And this is where you can truly call home. So this morning, ask yourself, in your corner that you are, whatever you're doing, how is it contributing to the development of this great nation of ours? Is it rather denigrating it, or it is rather giving it hope and giving other people hope that this country can become better? Maybe you are in a position to effect change. Make sure that happens, because for nothing at all, history will remember you correctly. So in everything you do, make sure that whatever you're doing, you are contributing to the development of this great nation, because if you don't do that, your children, your grandchildren will bear the brunt of that. So do well by the country. Good morning again and welcome to the show. Let me run you through how the day will go. We'll bring you news. We'll start with the AM news. But Denise Apoma will bring you that one. And then we'll bring you the AM sports. We'll give you a roundup of what's happening in the world of sport, what's happening to Liverpool, and all of that. We'll bring you that one here on the show, and then we'll move on to the AM news review, where we'll be having Dixon Tredia. He's MP Brecum West, and he is a sports fanatic, right? So we'll be doing much more on that as well. Kobe Amwa is a lawyer, and we'll be having Dr. Victor Doke. He's a security analyst on the show today. And then we'll move on to the big stories. Yesterday, the Chief Justice nominee, Justice Paul Baffoe-Bonnie, was vetted in Parliament, but there were a lot of issues with the minority, taken by the principle of challenging the processes that led to the removal of the Chief Justice. The former Chief Justice, walked out of the vetting. We'll have a conversation with Nana Ejay Baffoe, his MP, Menchia South, and Vice Chairperson of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. We'll delve into that particular one and also take you to Ewoya. Remember, almost 2 years ago, there was the discovery of lithium in Ewoya, a small farming community in the central region. Now, there was a lot of hope in that community when that lithium was found, that people were going to get jobs, and some of them had actually been recruited. 2 years on, those hopes are dying. Residents are worried about Parliament's delay in passing a lithium promise. We'll bring you details of that particular hope that is fading away with that special feature that my colleague has put together. We'll bring you that one. And of course, we'll activate the phone lines for you to have your say on all of this. So what will be your thought? Get them down and join us when the time is due. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace, and I do this always with Mfa Akosia Adeti. It's my honor to welcome you to the show on behalf of the team. Good morning. Let's start with the AM news.
Hello, good morning and welcome aboard to AM News. My name is Denise Apoma. We begin from Parliament. A dramatic showdown unfolded as the minority rejected the Chief Justice nominee, Justice Baffoe-Bonnie, walking out in protest after heated exchanges with the majority. Now, tensions flared when Minority Leader Afenyo Makin was repeatedly interrupted mid-sentence by Majority Leader Mahama Yariga, who objected to his opening statement. Now, this sparked a chain of reaction of protest and counter-protest from both minority and majority members on the committee. After nearly 2 hours of chaos over the opening statement, the Appointments Committee Chairman Bernard Ahiafo suspended the sitting for another hour to calm tempers, which did little to change the minority stance or the minority strategy when sitting resumed. The minority eventually walked out in protest, declaring their outright rejection of Justice Baffoe-Bonnie's nomination. Here's how it unfolded.
We hear with a heavy heart, but an unshakable resolve to defend the Constitution of Ghana, protect judicial independence, and uphold the rule of law. We gather to vet a disputed nominee for office of Chief Justice of Ghana. This should be a moment of national pride and institutional renewal. Instead, it has become a test of whether Ghana's judiciary will remain independent or fall under executive and political control.
Honorable Minority Leader. Honorable Minority Leader, just hold it a second. Yes, Honorable Ayarga.
Mr. Chairman, we are here because our rules say we should be here. And the same rules indicate exactly what we can do or not do when we gather here. Order 1237. 1237 says that the conduct of the Speaker, the Chief Justice, members and justices of the Superior Court of Judicature shall not be raised in Parliament except upon a substantive motion. You cannot raise anything about the conduct of a member of the Superior Court of Judicature of this country in Parliament except by a substantive motion. No substantive motion is before us, and so the ranking member has no right, no lawful authority to raise anything about what happened in court, the processes leading to a removal of anybody and the nomination of anybody. You have no right, pursuant to our rules, to raise those issues. So be guided, because if you raise them, I'm going to object.
First of all, the Majority Leader is clearly acting in bad faith.
Now, away from Parliament, Gold Board and the National Security have arrested 25 people, including several foreign nationals, for alleged involvement in illegal gold fabrication, trading and also smuggling. The arrests made between November 5 and November 6 were part of a wider operation targeting unlicensed gold activities in Accra. The suspects include Indian, British, American, Swedish, Russian, Belarusian and Ghanaian nationals. The operation uncovered unlicensed gold refining and trading schemes at Domipila 2 and Achimota Akwitiman. Deputy CEO of Gold Board, Richard Nunukweku, says no individual, local or foreign, will be spared if found operating without authorization.
The task force retrieved 8 gold bars concealed on the premises, various gold trading agreements, assaying report and receipts, 112,500 United States dollars, 64,014 Ghana cedis in cash, and 2 sidearms found in the possession of suspect Clement Aglago and Emmanuel McAddy. Preliminary investigations confirmed that Legend Precious Metal was operating without a valid license for the Ghana Gold Board. Evidence also indicates smuggling route through neighboring countries and fraudulent schemes targeting unsuspected buyers. The following individuals were arrested are insisting in investigation. If you are arrested and you are arrested for engaging in these gold trading activities without license, without authorization, no particular, no call from anybody will save you. And that is the approach with which we work here. We've not succumbed and we will not succumb to any pressure.
Well, the Gold Board estimates that illegal gold trading and smuggling costs Ghana nearly $2 billion every year, with total gold exports reaching about $8 billion as of October 15, 2025. The board believes that eliminating these illegal activities could raise annual national earnings to over $10 billion, strengthening fiscal stability and also economic growth.
Illegal gold trading and smuggling has been estimated to be about $2 billion annually. So what we are doing today is looking at reducing the impact of that figure on our economy. So if you can imagine that so far as at 15th October, we've done about $8 billion in gold export. If we add an additional $2 billion to it, that would have taken us $10 billion. And the impact would have been felt even greater than we are currently feeling. So for us, these enforcement actions are targeted towards reducing the impact of the gold smuggling on our economy and on the activities of our gold trading activity. Ultimately, if we are able to achieve success and weed out these syndicates and individuals who are engaged in this trade, what it means then is that on an annual basis, we'll be getting an additional $2 billion to over $3 to $5 billion in additional revenue.
Now, away from illegal mining and the gold board, sometimes the stench gets so overpowering that you have no choice but to alight from the commercial vehicle even before reaching your destination. It's that unbearable odor that some trotro mates carry along. The discomfort can be so intense that passengers shift, turn away, or struggle through the journey until they can't take it anymore or simply get off. So Letitia Texton and Vera Gedu set out to uncover why some mates choose such an unhygienic lifestyle and spoke to their masters and passengers about these unpleasant encounters. Here's the story, read to you.
It might seem simple, but habits like regular bathing, brushing the teeth, and wearing fresh clothes can greatly speak much about a person. The reverse of this is also indicative of a person's hygienic lifestyle. Some trotro mates perhaps have a different script, as they do not create pleasant atmosphere for passengers, from mouth and armpit odor to unwashed, sweaty clothes. Here's how passengers describe these encounters.
1 month ago, we encountered.
About a month ago, I boarded a trotro at Spintex heading to Medina. I was seated right behind the mate and noticed that he had a strong body odor, especially in his armpits. It was very unpleasant, and although it's public transport, it's still important for them to practice personal hygiene. So, I politely informed him that he had body odor and advised him to maintain good personal hygiene, explaining to him the negative impact it could have on passengers.
The trotro mates are defensive. They say their demanding schedules leaves them little room for personal care.
Passengers always complain that trotro mates don't like bathing. It's not our fault. It's the nature of the job. Sometimes we travel to other regions, and if we, the mates and drivers, don't get load back to our car, we are compelled to sleep in the car without bathing because in some places we don't have access to water. That's when the complaints come in. The nature of the job also takes almost all our time, which results in such complaints. Tiredness after work is also a factor contributing to this problem.
But we know that hygiene should never take a backseat. Drivers are encouraging their mates to keep clean as it ensures a pleasant ride for passengers.
I am Ejaya, a driver, and I am urging all mates to take their personal hygiene seriously, especially because passengers often complain about unpleasant odor. I always encourage my own mate to stay neat since we work closely with the public. I am also advising fellow drivers to regularly remind their mate to keep clean so we maintain a good image and ensure passengers feel comfortable.
Medical experts are cautioning the trotro mates against such act, as that can affect their social interactions and their physical well-being. Here's Dr. Yao Osafo of Medicas Hospital.
The physician's perspective, then it poses certain, if you like, hazards, and that is mental health, and then there's also social health, the ability to maintain relationship. So somebody may not even board your trotro or your taxi if you don't, you have very low hygiene, all right? So your ability to maintain social health is then impaired. Once you have body odor issues, then it will affect your social health.
Letitia Texton and Vera Gadu's report read to you.
Now, for nearly 2 years, residents of Bachona East and Central have endured a worsening water crisis that's taken a a serious toll on their health and also their finances. Many say cases of typhoid, skin rashes and diarrhea have become common as they are forced to rely on rainwater and also pay exorbitant prices to private water tankers. Now weary and frustrated, residents say their patience have run out and they are threatening to escalate the issue if authorities do not act soon. Noella Karinyali has more. The following report.
I am here at Bachina Eastern Central on the Spintex Road, specifically the district pay point of the Ghana Water Limited. And the desperation for water in the area runs deep. Residents say they've forgotten what it feels like or looks like to turn on the taps and see water flow. And for almost 2 years, they've had to rely on rainwater harvesting and water tankers who charge exorbitant prices, twice or even 3 times the usual rate, just to fill a few drums of water. At the Daniel Classic School Complex International here in Bachina, Mr. and Mrs. Ahaji say keeping the school running has become a daily struggle. With no water flowing through the taps, they now depend largely on rainwater to keep the classrooms and washrooms clean. They explain that even when they manage to get water from private tankers, delivery delays and poor quality makes it difficult to maintain hygiene standards for their pupils.
In fact, right from last year and this year is the worst, because I would say this year is worse because even the water we'll be buying, maybe 700 is now 1,000. The 400 is 600 now. You see, so this year is the worst time. And it will take you, when you have to order ahead of time, maybe 2 days before you can get it. Like, you see that this time I'm empty. I only hope is this. And if I don't give the order now, Monday will be in trouble. And so sometimes it is the rain that comes in and we get some, like you saw those, that's just this.
Let me speak to your wife. I mean, you run a school. You have a lot of kids here. Obviously, they need water to go by their daily activities here in school. How do you cope? How are you navigating the situation?
The situation is terrible. In fact, I even went to the Facebook and then I spoke to the president to come to our aid because we are handling children. I even told them that there was once we purchased the water, but it was like milkish. And you use this water to cook for the children.
It was dirty.
It was dirty. Do you understand? So, and recently the children are going to admission, vomiting, running, which is not the best. So we want the government to give us water.
The chairman of the Residents Association, Mr. Thomas, says the water shortage has gone beyond inconvenience. It's now a public health and financial crisis. He explains that families are forced to spend money that could have gone to other household needs just to buy water.
To fill the tank, these tanks, I have to buy 800 cedis a week. 800 cedis a week. But the normal bill that I pay is 100 cedis because I use just about 5,000-6,000 gallons. So it is about 3,000 cedis a month for 1 year. One tanker actually told me that, if it's for a building or something, they are going to take it from a dam. But if it's for house, they will going to take it from a tap or a borehole. Only God knows the metallic particles, the rust. We find a lot of things. We find insects in the water. We find metal particles. So the rainwater is something that we have to rely on. As at now that we speak, look, the tanks are empty. They are all empty. Look at that. There's no water in them. Skin rashes have gone on the rise. The diarrhea, diseases, and so on and so forth. Vomiting. There's a school right here. We'll go there and you talk to them. And it's become such a major issue because health is wealth. Without good water, sanitation doesn't mean anything.
Many here believe the situation has dragged on for far too long. Frustrated and losing patience, residents say they are ready to take stronger action if authorities fail to restore a steady water supply soon.
This is a situation that appears even to be deliberate. I do not want to say that, but I think that for an area to be without water for 1 whole year, it means that enough is not being done to service the community. We have had numerous explanations. The explanations vary from their tank pipe breaks in the major pipelines. And we are also told that the desalination plant, which is in Teshin, has been shut. So the explanations are so different. So we have realized that there's the need for us to take our lives into our hands. So we are likely to take it up to a higher level. I mean, we are in a community, we are in Tema West. So therefore we have an MP. We have recourse to other means. We have the Tema regional authorities. We have the head office. We have the PURC.
From Bachana Eastern Central, here on the Spintex Road, I'm Noella Kareniali, and this is Joy News.
From Accra, let me take you to the Bono East region because a community is in mourning and a family is demanding justice. This is after the brutal murder of a traditional leader. Nana Owusu Koko, the Akwemuhene of Tanoso, was killed on Saturday morning while making his way to his farm. As his family alleges foul play and makes an urgent plea for justice, police are now assuring them that a manhunt is underway to find those responsible for this heinous act. Anna Sabit has more.
In the quiet dawn of Saturday, November 8th, a journey that began with the familiar purpose of tending to the land ended in an unimaginable tragedy. Nana Owusu Koko, the Akomuhene of the Tanoso traditional area and a pillar of his community, was brutally murdered on his way to his farm. Now a family is left in mourning and a traditional stool sits empty, its silence echoing a cry for justice. Here in Tanoso, where the shock of Nana Owusu Koko's killing has not yet settled, the family described him as a man of peace, a leader who was deeply connected to his people and his land. His brutal death at 6 a.m., a time when most are beginning their day, has left this community reeling, and the family is pointing to foul play. Kofi Anani speaks for the family.
It's suspicious because in the people who are going to came answer. A flood in the cripple, one court. Yeah, that's me down a par. You be see. And you know, a Southern one feels say, yeah, the Yadunum dear. Southern woman airtrain. You say, woman, at this and among them.
Responding to the family's anguish and the gravity of the crime, the police have assured that they are on the case. The Deputy Regional Commander ACP Stephen Boadu, together with a strong police team, visited the grieving family to offer condolences and, more importantly, assurances.
When the incident happened on Saturday, we haven't rest. We've done a lot of interviews and questioning. We got multiple leads, and we are sampling all the leads to identify the key leads. And I think with this, we'll get to where we all want to go to. And what I can do is that those involved or behind this crime will by all means be brought to book.
He confirmed that a full-scale investigation has been launched.
That's an unfortunate story there. We offer the family our condolences. But up next is business with Samuel Kujibris.
Well, to our first business story, and Finance Minister Dr. Kisiela Tuforsen has announced plans to introduce new policy measures aimed at driving growth and transforming the Ghanaian economy from next year. These initiatives are expected to be a key focus when he presents the 2026 budget statement to Parliament this Thursday. Meanwhile, businesses across various sectors have emphasized the need for access to affordable long-term financing and simplified tax laws as top priorities for the 2026 budget. The following report captures more.
These concerns were captured in the KPMG and the United Nations Development Programme in Ghana survey of businesses from different sectors of the economy. These businesses maintain that they also want some policy measures that will help improve support for small businesses in the country, as well as infrastructure development. Majority of these businesses engaged also wanted more allocation for the agri sector. When it comes to unemployment, Some of these business owners want to be incentivized or get tax breaks to employ more graduates from the universities. They believe this is one of the surest ways to help create more jobs and also complement government's efforts. Most of these businesses in the survey cited high energy costs as a major concern. They're therefore looking forward to some relief in this area.
So other stories, the Bank of Ghana has pumped $250 million into the market in the first week of this month. It's part of the central bank's revised dollar intervention program designed to support the local currency. We have more in this report.
This is the first part of the about $1 billion that will be sold by the Bank of Ghana to the commercial banks for this month. The move is part of efforts to help in firmly stabilizing the Ghana cedi and improve the liquidity on the market. The development has gone a long way to help stabilize the local currency for last month, recovering from losses posted in September this year. This was after some $1 billion was pumped into the market for the month of October 2025. Persons close to the Bank of Ghana have told Chairperson that they are using the windfall from the rising gold prices to support the market, and that the current program aimed at boosting the central bank reserves has not been affected anyway by this policy. However, some persons like the ranking member of the Economy and Development Committee of Parliament, Kojo Opon Nkrumah, is raising questions about Bank of Ghana's approach in supporting the market with dollars to help stabilize the Ghana cedi.
Let's wrap up the business updates with what's trending on the commodities market. That's all in our business update. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Ahanta Pili, for bringing us business news. My name is Denise Apomaije. That's it for AM News. But don't forget that we have an interesting show for you today. Up next, after the news, is sports. Please stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftahu Nabila Abdullah. The Africa Paralympic Committee General Assembly has re-elected Samson Dean as its president for the next 4 years. Samson Dean, who is in his second tenure in charge of the Paralympic Committee in the continent, believes that with unity, the sport will be developed.
The confidence that you give them to host this and make it happen. So that the North, the East, the Central, and the Southern can also emulate from the good work we have done to also host the East African Paragames, the North African Paragames, the Southern African Paragames, and the Central African Paragames. Police, you are elected to work for and on behalf of members who have trust in you. One of the difficulty working with me is that I work to get results. If you are not giving me the results, it will be very difficult to work with you. And for that matter, you have colleagues on this board who can tell you the kind of person I have been in these past years. We have Nagla on the board, we have Linfu on the board, and we have Ayat on the board. Luckily, we have elected an officer for the office of the Secretary General who is very, very experienced. I can see most of the ideas that I get, most of the administrative work that I do, it is through his experience, the measures that I'm grateful that you did not look at, because I'm from Ghana, you are not going to endorse him or vote for him. You have voted for him, he's now an executive officer of the African Parliament Committee. Police and delegates, we are grateful.
The president of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana, Kobna Yeboah, has described as a joke Ghana's management of other sporting disciplines in the country. According to him, many politicians and leaders are often fixated with football and abandon other disciplines in the country that have got the potential of developing many talents across the country.
I think as a nation, our attitude towards the other disciplines is a big joke. Big joke. There is too much pretense and hypocrisy. We pretend to be developing the other sports when in fact everybody just gone to sleep, folded their arms. Where is the infrastructure? How do you develop sports for the other discipline without the needed infrastructure?
Recently, before you continue, recently there was a video of the one of the Okankwe MPs, having, he organized to clear up the inside of the Azuma Nelson complex, which was now overgrown with weeds.
As I said, it's a big joke. I mean, you go to other jurisdictions who are very, very serious, and when they talk about development of other disciplines, these are very, very serious nations. So a country like South Africa, you talk about cricket. They won the Cricket World Cup. Rugby, they won the Rugby World Cup. You talk about athletics, they are competing at the highest level. You talk about tennis, there are tennis courts all over South Africa, and they rank between the first 50 all the time. I'm saying we are joking. So let's not even pretend that we are developing sports in this country until a time that we get serious as a nation and really develop it. How we've had the Aframani Sports Hall for a decade, accommodating taekwondo, accommodating boxing, table tennis. It's a joke. Where are the tracks for athletics? We had a Accra Sports Stadium, which had the tartan tracks.
It got redesigned.
And for some strange reason, somebody decided that we could get rid of that. We lost completely. Really, years ago, every single morning you came to the Accra Sports Stadium, you met all these young athletes being trained, completely gone. And what was the excuse? That we could go to Elwak. You know the processes you had to go through to go and train at the Elwak Stadium? It's not the same.
And Elwak is now also beaten down. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. So I'm saying we are just kidding. Let's stop the pretense. I've stopped discussing some of these things for a very long time because I've repeated myself over and over and over.
You sound like a broken record.
Absolutely.
Ghana's Black Princesses secured a 1-0 victory over Benin in the ongoing Wafubi Under-20 Championship. Their head coach, Samson, has been speaking following that victory. He believes that the girls are ready to make their country proud and that the victory over Benin shows that they have got what it takes to win the ultimate.
This has been a really good tournament for us. Our girls needed games like this to develop, that we are very grateful for. If I could say anything at all that gives Nigeria a little bit of edge over us is the games we played them comes after we have played a game where they have rested. So definitely it gives them a bit of advantage. We did that in the beginning, so I thought maybe it would have been different when we meet them again. But now we meet them again after playing a game. Of course, that gives them a bit of advantage. But we've lost with them against them the first game. Definitely, we are also out to win against them tomorrow. So our match preparation is all out, and we are looking forward to it as a good test for us. Yes. It's a lot to take from here, a lot for the players themselves in their development, and also they are growing up into the game, and also gives me as a leader a great picture as to what they can stand for and what they cannot, and also maybe places that we need to strengthen on and the things we need to work on in preparation to our World Cup qualifiers. So this has been very, very educative. We are very much concentrating on our own philosophy and principles of play and things. And in this tournament, our aim is to see how it evolves. It has been going really well. We are struggling a little bit with the last third, which has been a struggle for us, even long before this. And this tournament also exposes some bit parts of it. So those are the things that we are very confident that we now recognize, and we should find ways to see how we can be better on it.
And we move on now and talk about the Ghana Premier League game between Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Accra House of Oak that took place at the Accra Sports Stadium last Sunday. House of Oak scored what many have described as a controversial goal. The Phobians believed they have equalized in the dying embers of that contest between the two sides. However, match day referee decided to cancel the goal because he believed the player was in an offside position. Board member of Accra House of Oak, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, has called on the Ghana Football Association to sanction the referee for what he says is incompetence from his part.
You have to say, why should the police run on the pitch? To go and do what? To they themselves might have realized that the goal that was scored was a good goal. And the club has been denied the goal. I don't want to speak as a House of Folk, but I want to speak as a Ghanaian citizen. I mean, what is happening now is bad. What is happening now is very, very bad. Do they want to destroy football? If they want, so that we all stop the game. I mean, this is pathetic. I call on the FA to discipline that what do you call it? That referee. He's not competent. To me, he's incompetent. Either he's incompetent or somebody has put money into his hands. I've not been to refereeing courses, but we think this one common sense. Look at this sort of nonsense is what I hate in this country. When the thing is wrong, irrespective of who has committed that offense. Why do you people defend the indefensible? You do it in everything, in politics and everything. If it's getting into our professionals, why do you do that?
But Doug, somebody will say you are not a referee. Per the laws of the game, you are not.
I have told you that I have not had any referee training, but my common sense tells me, and my eye will tell me.
And this is our wrapping up AM Sports here with me, Muftahu Nabila Abla. Head on to myjoyonline.com for some more sports stories. The newspaper review comes your way right after this.
Hello there, good morning, and thank you for choosing us this morning. Time to review the news. A lot has been happening. It's quite an eventful week already. It's just day 2 in the week. The newspapers reporting a lot. I shall just quickly run you through the headlines in the newspapers this morning. Let's start with the Daily Graphic. So this morning, courts will serve all fairly. CJ nominee pledges at vetting. Yesterday was quite an eventful one at the appointment committee. And you're interested in that even before we get on the table to discuss everything that unfolded, you can grab a copy of the Daily Graphic and take a read. It will be on page 3, not to clear here, but normally the culture is the biggest story, will be on page 3 when you start the reading in front of it. And as well, nation's oil industry facing sharp decline, Energy Minister warns. Stories on page 11 of the Daily Graphic this morning. And Ghana signs bilateral debt agreement with Germany as well in the Daily Graphic. And behind the Daily Graphic, 25 nabbed over illegal gold trading. Story is at the back page of the Daily Graphic. Could you at some point, you may want to tell us some details in this 25 persons that have been arrested for illegal gold trading. Are they companies or they just individuals?
Companies and individuals, but these individuals are like CEOs of these companies and associates of these companies. I mean, if you look at it, for example, it says the arrested individuals include Gabriel Sewono, Ghanaian, CEO of Legend Precious Metal; Lucia Al-Yazigi, former Belarusian diplomat and lawyer. Duncan Finlay Massins, I hope, British investment banker. Eric Manuel Belloran Perun is Argentine. Dominic Vasilikovic and Panagostis Jordanidis, Swedish nationals. Alex Ivanov, Russian national, and several Ghanaians: Emmanuel Makadi, Kwesio Pare, Gilbert Nojro, Madeleine Echode Iyaboa, Charles Ohiming, Francis Atta, Michael Na, Stephen Hansen, Clement Agbaglo, Haruna Adams, Jerry Nanu Glee, and Chris Achichogbe.
You did amazing with the foreign names and even the ever name. Quite excellent. Okay, we'll move to the Supreme newspaper. If my screen will just come back on, we'll see if I can write. We're done with the Daily Graphic. Let's go to the other newspapers. So Daily Guide, Supreme newspaper, reporting on the 29th GJA Media Awards, of course, where multimedia picked up a lot of awards. Jumfor urges Sutumfor to use his influence to fight Galamsey. That is in the Supreme this morning. And yesterday I was telling you how John Boydu has made quite a good comeback and is seeking to be the chairman of the NPP. We'll be following it to see how that would also pan out. And behind the Supreme, it's some update on sports. Let's go to the new finder. Business hint at possible price reduction. Is this good news? Especially because in January, your minimum wage is increased by 9%. Does this mean that very soon you shall be buying stuff at a lower price or what? Will that culminate into quite affordable goods and services in this country? But you take a read and then you have an update. Gold hits 2 weeks high amid U.S. economic concerns. And GSE ends week lower despite Friday rebound. And so petroleum sector arrears rise to $2.8 million USD as oil revenues as well slump. Kofi J and I did some analysis on the first time we opened that valve when former President Atta Mills, when we first found oil, and we've just been digging that. What exactly have we been doing with our oil reserves, the money that comes out from that? And we're interested to know that it looks like all of the pressure, or the bigger pressure, is on oil revenue, education, agriculture, road, and all of that is on oil. And so if there's pressure on it, it's not surprising. But daily analysts as well, no sacred cows in Galamsey fight. The president, when he was at the GJA, the Ghana Journalists Association Awards over the weekend, he's been still warning about persons who are involved in illegal mining. The government increases public sector salaries, minimum wage by 9%. That's it. That's it. Is this one to clap for the current government for? It's not strange, is it?
No, it's 9%, expected, really. But you see, I think that when we take it from the top, we might not really see it quite clearly. Last time, some people were discussing, and I said, okay, the 9%, the daily minimum wage is around, is it 13 or 14?
Currently.
Yeah, or 20, no, I think it's 20-something cedis, which means that in a week, when you work 5 days, your salary would not be close to 200.
Why are you doing this math?
No. So look at it at the end of the month. Someone may be taking around 480 something. Really?
Yeah.
That
with 4 children.
That if I don't pay you nothing at all, it shouldn't be below 400 and something cedis.
With 4 children.
That's how much.
2 of them women who have to buy something.
I think that we should be frank with ourselves and do better.
I hope
the government has done its bit, but we need to probably sit around as a country, not government, but as a state, and find out how do we, adequately compensate people for what they do. Because 400 and some, less than 500 cedis, if I pay someone even 1,500, I feel what is the person going to do with 1,500? How much more less than 500 cedis? Minimum wage. No, we should do better. We should pay the minimum wage at, say, even 5,000. So that you and I, if they don't pay us at all.
I didn't see that coming. Thank you. But still on GJA calling for Mohammed's declaration to end Galamsey is on the daily analyst this morning. We'll quickly go to the overseer. Gold board arrests 25 for illegal gold trading and fabrication. And Kojo's been giving you an update on that and about how Ghana signed new bilateral debt agreements with Germany as well. It's on the overseer this morning. Yeah. Let's go to the next newspaper, Daily Guide, which will be the last one, of course.
But before you go there, please, in the overseer, there's a story that is of interest to me and the people in the Western region. Takrady market project to resume next year. Finance Minister assures.
In fact, he says that it's part of the priority.
We're going to keep an eye on that, you know, because Takrady market cycle is vital.
It will find expression in the 2026 budget to be read on.
He says. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Okay.
From January, we'll keep asking.
Honestly, together with you, we'll keep an eye on it.
Good. This one will go fancy way. Mr. Minister hasn't a kind of way.
Well, the Daily Guide as well. Minority boycott CJ nominee amid drama. GJ is still calling for Mensah declare end to Galamsey. Now, we shall be talking about this extensively as to whether the minority indeed walked to the appointment committee already, knowing that we're going to stage a walkout, despite the majority indicating on PM Express some weeks ago that boycotting and walking out is definitely not an option.
Yeah.
Another story that will interest you, Kojo, is jailed coup plotter gets 2.5 million bail. Yes, if you recall the story about how some people were planning a coup against Akufo-Addo at the time. Well, he was sentenced to death, actually, at the time. And yet there's an appeal on that. And so pending his appeal and all of the other legal terminologies that the lawyers can explain to us about, he has been granted a 2.5 million bail. Of course, because that is quite the highest treason of this London. So I'm not surprised at the big one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's true.
Okay, that's it. Maybe if you're kind, I shall bring you some updates on My Joy Online. But otherwise, of course, you know your way around My Joy Online. Just go on there, www.myjoyonline.com, and take a read. What's really the news without myjoyonline.com? That will be all for the headlines. We'll get into the newspapers just shortly.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. That's, MFR Koshadeti with the headlines there. Let's get into the details. And joining us is Dixon Shredia, MP, Brekum West. He is a sports enthusiast. So yes, of course, when we have him here. And he's a member of the Environment Committee as well. So tomorrow, maybe, likely, he will be leaving Ghana to join COP to see what he will be giving us. Thank you for coming, Honorable. And then we're also joined by a lawyer, who's making his debut on the show. Very, very fine looking.
It's not his debut.
It's not. Oh, then okay. Okay.
I'll be joining via Zoom.
This is the first.
Yeah, it's not a debut at all.
Okay, so debut in the studio.
In person.
Yes.
In person. Okay, it means that I'm not entirely wrong. Yeah. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm well.
Thank you.
Honorable.
Yeah, sure.
So let's start as we do always. Give you maximum of 2 minutes. Tell us what you feel you want to talk about before we get into the papers.
Kojo, let me say a very big good morning to my big brother, Dr. George Atabuaten, the Director General, National Signals Bureau.
Okay.
Over the weekend, he was bereaved.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the funeral of his late mom. So we were all in Brekum to commiserate with him.
Okay.
I wish him all the best today. Same to the Bono Regional Communications Officer, my very brother Charles Akowua of Bui Power. His father passed on, and Saturday was the final funeral. So the weekend was not good for us in the Bono region, especially those of us from NDC. And I wish them good strength. May God guide them all the way. One important thing I want to talk about is the 50% increase in the student loan scheme. 50%. Prior to this announcement, students were being given approximately 2,000, 2,500, and now it is going to go up to about 4,500 per student. And this is on the back of the stress-free fee policy that this government has introduced. So what that means is all level 100 students are not going to pay the fees. On top of that, the student loan has been doubled to make the lives of students at the tertiary very, very comfortable. The underlying principle is that under this government, nobody should be left behind in terms of pursuit of tertiary education. Because you know, basic is free at the GHS level, secondary is free, and tertiary is where the major challenges are. Last year alone in Brikun West, 317 students got admissions at various tertiary institutions, but were not able to pursue as a result of lack of funding support. With the stress-free policy, where virtually first-year students wouldn't be paying any fees, and on top of that, being given about 4,500 Ghana a year will be enough cushion for each and everyone to benefit. So for me in Brikun West, on top of this, I've also launched Brikun West Education Fund also to support every tertiary student in Brikun West. So very good news. And another significant aspect of this policy, the new direction the Student Loan Trust is going, is that before this announcement, the interest rate on the loan was 12% compound interest. 12% compound. Now it's been slashed to 6% simple interest. Okay. And that is a huge relief for students. So I would like to take this opportunity once again to commend His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who is now deepening the rights of each and every Ghanaian to get to the highest level. You know, it's a constitutional right that education is a right for everybody. But because we don't have the resources, we've limited its availability freely at the basic and at the senior high. But the Constitution says there should be conscious attempt to make it free at the tertiary as well.
I thought the Constitution said free basic.
No, basic, secondary, and tertiary, and gradually making it conscious effort should be made to make it free at all levels. Okay. But now it is at the basic and secondary school. And these policies are geared towards that direction. So I'm very excited about that. Okay. And Kojo, before I land, you talked about COP30. Let me warn that the biggest existential threat to humankind is the climate change. And we should all play our part. COP30 in Berlin, in Brazil, is such a critical conference, if I should put it, to define. Because,
when will we move from the talks,
the rhetorics to action?
To action. We've been having COPs over the years.
That is why each and everyone would have to play their own, the little they can do. Because you're at your own level. I know you are into rice farming, aren't you?
Yes, yes, yes.
And you know, rice farming is one of the major sources of methane. And methane is 28 times more dangerous than carbon dioxide in terms of contribution to climate change. So how do you reduce and mitigate production of methane in your rice production? And these are the support we should be providing, the education and the support government should be providing to reduce methane production.
But that's why, because we can't say we're going to reduce rice.
Not at all. You need it for food security. Exactly. So how do you balance it? You need
the forest reserves. You need to make sure the trees are
exactly. These are some of the things. And we also have technology that will allow you to go into massive rice production and mitigating production of methane. Okay. So these are measures we should be doing. So it is about time the issues of climate change is brought to the front burner. Rhetoric should be over, and it is time for action. And I want to see at the end of COP30, countries will be taking concrete action to deal with this existential threat to humankind.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Lawyer, your reflection.
Yes, thank you too for the opportunity. At least first time in studio. It's just 4 days after Infanspem won the national assembly. I think that there should have been a banner behind. Congratulations, Infanspem.
You're a Kwabuche guy?
Yes, I'm a Buche boy.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Are you?
No.
Okay.
When was the last time?
Oh, last year.
Oh, last year.
And we are winning next year too. You know, next year is Infanspem's 150th anniversary. And
I attended a school called Badubonso Senior High Technical School. Have you heard it before?
No.
You haven't?
Well, in relation to senior high schools, I remember doing the conversation, watching the vetting yesterday. They referred to Justice Dennis's school, which previously was a mixed school and is now a girls' school.
Is it one?
So it's now a Fiakobi, but previously it was a mixed school, it's now a girls' school. I don't know. But yes, congratulations to Infanspem. We are proud of the boys the second time. Next year, marking 150 years of celebrating secondary school education in Ghana, and Infanspem's 150th. We hope to win it and complete the three-peats. Also, special greetings to all the aspirants for the MPP race. I know it's not an easy feat, touring the country, the risk involved and all. A special one to Honorable Kenneth Japan, who is obviously my candidate. There's something I want to talk about briefly in a minute. It just came to mind after you were speaking about COP. It's something I've observed, and I think I chanced upon it. Same thing is happening in Nigeria. The fact that in Ghana, and actually in Africa, our politicians a lot seems to try to seek some validity from our diplomatic missions. And this cuts both ways, both parties. When issues happen that can be addressed through our internal processes, we see members of parliament marching to the Dean of Diplomatic Corps to present a petition. I don't know what kind of resolution we seek there. We see former presidents gathering diplomats to report our security agencies and other agencies to the diplomatic missions. This is what gives them once you do that, you present petitions to them, you now invite them to intervene. This came to mind when I was looking at the situation in Nigeria and in relation to President Trump's comments that he wants to intervene in Nigeria, only to read more and find out that there were actually petitions to the U.S. Embassy to intervene. Yes, I believe that there may be instances where, in extreme circumstances of human rights violations, where local systems don't work at all, such remedies can be taken to bring a spotlight on the country. But ordinarily, no country has perfect systems. And in a country like Ghana, even though we don't have perfect systems, we are still growing and developing our processes. So if we tend to seek some external validation by always going to our colonial masters or diplomatic missions to come and help resolve our issues, then there's always going to be that interference. And the effect is that we are not going to get our institutions to properly develop as we want to be. There's always that foreign interference. So that is one issue that it's something I actually want to write about, but it's one issue that I'm really concerned about. We have our institutions, let's develop them, let's grow them.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Eva,
Yep.
want to start from your end?
Shall we start? Okay, so the Daily Guide this morning is reporting the obvious. Minority boycott CJ nominee amid drama. And I'll start with you, lawyer, even before I come to the politician. I saw that he showed up with it. Is he? Yeah. Well, this disclaimer is so nice.
You are a politician with title.
I take that back.
He
even has
one
a
of the
candidate.
leading campaigners of
Kennedy Japan. Okay. You see?
I'm a lawyer first.
He's a lawyer first of all. But I'd love to hear from him. Why? Because
you want me to reveal something?
I love the revelation.
Ken is not going to win. But there are plans in maybe next whatever years when Ken, if he will become, he has a portfolio, cemented for him.
Oh,
you know, sir.
Yeah.
There's no portfolio cemented for me.
Our
runners for ADC, they think that it's going to be more difficult for them to contest against Ken. So at every chance, they make a first comment, Ken is not going to win, just to paint the picture that Ken is not going to win our primaries. But he's a stronger candidate. He's the strongest candidate you can ever face in 2020.
Oh, no, as for that, I've already said here, and MFI will bear me out, that whoever you bring in 2020 is going to face a humiliating defeat.
Why would I bear you witness to this?
I said, I
mean, of course,
made
he
that
says
declaration
a lot of time.
when you were hosting this.
But you know why I want to go to him first? It's also because of the nuance within the NPP party and because it's the minority that staged the walkout yesterday. So I want to hear, I mean, his position on the entire process yesterday, what happened yesterday first. Then we'll go into the detail of the questions. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I watched it yesterday. I had to rewatch again this morning. And so I have a few takes. First of all, I think the first question, I mean, even for non-legal minds, is the Chief Justice, Arba Sabatokon, has been removed, and she's challenging the matter in courts. Now, in the process that this new Chief Justice is confirmed, and court also believes that her removal was, or the court quashes her removal, what happens? Do we end up having two Chief Justices? Do we have to reverse the appointment of the old Chief Justice? What process or what lay-down process is even there to follow? Does that automatically, if she is reinstated or if the court quashes the decision of the committee and the president's warrant, would that now give us a situation where we now have to go through courts or through a process to remove the newly appointed Chief Justice? These are all questions that nobody would have answers to, and the process may have to reveal it later. So why bother put ourselves through such a potential situation where we can wait?
Who's complaining?
Ghanaians.
The process is the... You see, I mean, the law would be the law, right? But and at every point where there's no law, when you go through the process, it gives birth to another law. Why would there be a challenge?
The process now has been challenged. The process of her removal has been challenged. Now we have an acting Chief Justice. Don't get me wrong, I am the biggest fan of Justice Baffoe-Bonnie. I even think that he should have been Chief Justice way earlier. So, but the removal of Justice Tokonu has been challenged, and the matter is still sub judice. The matter is still in court. So, simple question. We forget legal minds. If she is reinstated, and this is what she's seeking to do in court, and if there's a legal path that she's following, and I don't want us to prejudice what is going to end up in what the court is going to decide on. And of course, she's been Chief Justice, so she understands the legal processes she's following, and the lawyers understand the legal process they are following, and there's a likelihood. I'm not saying that is going to be the outcome. There's a likelihood that the decision may be annulled, or the court will say, okay, you are reinstated.
Legally, usually when it is annulled, what happens?
So now the process will be, okay, she wants to be reinstated. That's the remedy she's seeking. So if the remedy is accepted by the court and she's actually reinstated, when someone else has been appointed, what do you think will happen?
I mean, legally, what would have happened?
No, so now legally there will be two Chief Justices, unless the court makes an other order.
Two Chief Justices, would they not?
Exactly. So that's the challenge.
No.
Unless the court.
If you reinstate one person, there's one position. So if you're reinstating somebody, wouldn't that be an automatic removal?
So it has to be an automatic removal
I mean,
of a legitimately appointed Chief Justice.
I mean, but wouldn't it mean that the appointment, vetting, nomination, vetting, and approval was null and void? Isn't that what you say in law?
Fine. So why do you go through that process?
But why do we go through the whole process of removing a legitimate Chief Justice?
No, but you see...
Because if you look at Getchu Tokono, her ladyship, right, it's not as if she was not legally put there. She went through the process. Yes. The then president nominated, she went through parliament, vetting and all of that. And when it was petitioned that she should be removed, they followed the process. Why would we now be surprised that there would be a process to follow if there has to be a reinstatement?
So you see, at least for what the decision was, her removal was based on stated misbehavior, right? I know that in law, I think some cannot stand on anything, because maybe, so it means this whole process might have been void. But I'm saying, why do you take someone like Justice Baffoe-Bonnie even through this whole process, where you go through nomination, you go through vetting, you are appointed, and through no fault of yours, they said your predecessor was not removed the right way, so you have to go back.
It's interesting because when
you can wait. for this process to be exhausted and there'll be finality.
You know why I'm actually fascinated? Because I think he even understands the law and the processes better. So how he would subject himself to something he cannot predict, because laws should be quite predictable, right? So if Justice Bonnie himself allows himself to be going through the process, vetting and allows it.
He's been appointed. He's been nominated.
Exactly my point. So what then should Parliament do? Because that's a constitutional requirement that when you are nominated, you should be vetted.
Exactly. So my point is that I think that Parliament could have taken its time. Now, yes, we have a Chief Justice in acting capacity. Or truly and obviously, a person in acting capacity may not necessarily have the same powers as a substantive Chief Justice. But at least through and during the pendency of these current processes, the Parliament could have taken its time. Let the matter travel, because the matter is in the High Court. Let it travel. Let's ensure that maybe measures are put in place to ensure there's a speedy trial and decision-making in those instances. When finally a decision is made on whether or not Justice Tokono rightfully or has a right or her claims may be upheld, then you can now finally vet the Chief Justice nominee, make him Chief Justice without being subject of this whole control.
Who are you speaking to? The president who nominated or the appointment committee that did the vetting? Because I only see the appointment committee doing what the Constitution mandates them, right?
Now the matter is before Parliament. And as the minority leader's motion to Parliament was, I think that Parliament should have taken its time and halted the process. The President, we are past the President's stage. The President has done what he wanted to do or what he had to do, but now the decision is before Parliament. So I think that the ruling of the Speaker should have looked at a way where we could have halted processes to a point where there was clarity as to what was going to happen in the end.
Let's bring in Honorable Chairperson here. Now, doesn't the minority have a point when they say because of the former Chief Justice challenging the process in court, Parliament allow the process to elapse before you go ahead to vet? What would it have taken out of the whole process if Parliament had waited?
Not at all, Kojo. It is not as if the matter was not dealt with in Parliament. But let me begin with Article 144(1), which says the Chief Justice shall be appointed by the President acting in consultation with the Council of State and with the approval of Parliament. President has nominated Chief Justice, Acting Chief Justice Baffoe-Bonnie in consultation with the Council of State, and there is something called formal communication to Parliament. President executed that. It came to Parliament, and the Speaker read the formal communication in Parliament. The issue was debated. Minority came with a motion to kill that communication for Parliament to suspend the vetting. After lengthy deliberations, Speaker made a ruling. And the ruling was that the pendency of that case in court does not stop Parliament from performing its constitutional duty. 2, Parliament was and has not up to now been injuncted by any court of competent jurisdiction. And for that matter, if Parliament fails or neglects to perform its constitutionally mandated duty, then it is rather the Parliament that is breaching the Constitution. So by performing the constitutionally mandated duty yesterday, Parliament fulfilled its obligation to the state in that realm. Let me go further. In 2012,
So you're saying that if, say, I have been in court and I'm seeking some leaves, and I say my rights are being abused, you're saying because the President has made a nomination to Parliament and Parliament has not been injuncted, Parliament does not have that duty to uphold the right of an individual?
We are upholding the right of an individual. Also, if somebody has been nominated and you fail to vet, you are rather trampling upon his right to assume the seat. So we were rather upholding the rights of individuals by giving everybody fair playing field. Kojo, don't forget, this acting Chief Justice has been in acting position for 7 good months. That was in April 2025. And you know, when you are in an acting position, there are certain things you cannot usually do. So for 7 good months, we don't have substantive Chief Justice in this country. And the case is in court. Nobody knows when we will see to the conclusion of the case. Then we keep waiting. And let me ask.
Why is that?
Let me ask. When Nanado went to court to challenge the validity of the election of President Mahama, were you saying the parliament should have suspended swearing in President Mahama, waiting until the determination of the case? And if that had been the case, we would have waited until August. And when President Mahama challenged the 2020 elections, did you hear anybody say, oh, President Mahama is in court challenging Nanado's eligibility to be sworn in, so don't swear him in? The point I'm building is there is no irreparable damage caused. Let me stress, no, he's a lawyer and he knows. And I will ping him down because I've heard him on One Breath, another platform some time ago, arguing. And that has been the position of almost all lawyers, that pendency of a case in court should not necessarily stop constitutional duty bearers to perform their duty. So why are we now shifting the goalposts? And I'm saying there is no irreparable damage to her ladyship, Justice Tokondo. If the case goes in her favor, what is going to happen is the court will order for her to be reinstated, and all her lost earnings during that period that she has been out of office will be restored.
Reinstated as a Chief Justice.
Oh, yes.
But that's strange. Let me just interrogate a bit before you add on. If you say there will be no irreparable damage, she was removed based on misconduct.
Yes.
And I don't know how much reinstatement will take away that the basis on which she was removed. Misconduct, which had become a center of discussion all this while, that is not measurable. No, how do you calculate that as
irreparable? Now, if you go to court and you win the case, that in a way cleanses whatever allegations, because you've won the case. So it means the allegations that led to your removal were fabricated or had no grounds. And that restores your dignity. As a lawyer, that's why you go to court. Somebody has made allegations against you without foundation. You go to court, and when the accuser is not able to prove his allegations, then your dignity is restored, with damages sometimes also being provided. So there is no damage. There is no irreparable damage. You see, when you go to court and you're seeking for injunction, one of the key things the judges will rely on is what irreparable damage is going to be caused if injunction is not granted. One, those who are in court have not been able to convince any court for an injunction to be granted. So what stops us from performing our constitutionally mandated duty? When MFR, as you rightly put it, once the judgment goes in favor of the removed Chief Justice, the status quo will be restored. So you don't lose anything at all. But if we say, because somebody is in court, everything should come to a complete halt. People have suggested, oh, you are already acting. But we know the difference between a substantive office holder and acting office holder. So for 7 months, and you know the role judiciary plays in our democracy, it is so significant that we cannot afford to wait any longer. And I think the Parliament was right, the Speaker was right, the Chairman of the Appointment Committee was right, and in this instance, the only person who was wrong is the respected Minority Leader and his colleagues.
Weren't they taken by their principles to say that we support the process in court, and therefore by that we cannot be the same people, contributing to this process when we are against.
If you're a Democrat, in Parliament, motions, debates are taken. At the end of the day, vote is taken. So you have your say. If it doesn't go on your way, does it mean that decision is invalid?
It does. They don't want to be part of it because, in principle, they are against that process.
They have the right to walk away. In fact, walking away from parliamentary proceedings is a tool of registering your protest. But for us, on this occasion, they did not have any strong reason for which they walked away from the vetting.
Are they wrong to walk away when their principle is that?
No, they are. That's why I said when Danado was challenging President Mahama and President Mahama was being sworn in, nobody called for the swearing in to be held on until the final determination.
But the MP boycotted the swearing in.
But when President Mahama challenged Nanado, what happened? Nanado was sworn in, and they all supported that. No, the pendency of the petition at the Supreme Court should not stop President Akufo-Addo from being sworn in to perform his constitutional mandated duty. The point is, Kojo, in the national interest of the nation, should we still have this vacuum? We may have an acting CJ, but he's limited in what he can do as an acting CJ. So, in the interest of the nation, it is very important, especially if there are no processes to restore whatever you've lost, in case you win the case in court. That would have been different then. Okay. But there are avenues for whatever you've lost to be restored, in case you win the case. So this should not be an issue of contention at all, unless people are doing, downright politics with this issue. And it appears MPP, as a political party, has taken a serious stance on this matter. And Kojo, this is what we've been talking about. We all talk about judiciary should be independent, should not be politicized. But what we're seeing, clearly, you can see politics at play. President is performing his constitutionally mandated duty. Where has he breached? And in any case, when the issue came to the floor of Parliament, Speaker made a ruling. You come by motion. If you lose the motion, what do? There are processes to challenge the motion. Why was the ruling not challenged until you come to the appointments committee to come and raise the same issue? Because the tennis, all committees of Parliament are extension of the chamber. So issues that have been dealt with at the floor cannot be dealt with at a committee, because committee work they are doing, what they did yesterday, do you know, that is not conclusive. It will come to the plenary, the chamber, for us to debate. So even though the appointment committee may pass the nominee, at the plenary, we have the right to reject. And that is the final. So at the committee, committee's decision is not final. It comes to the plenary for all the 276 of us to debate and whether we will reject the recommendation of the appointment committee or endorse the recommendation. That is when the processes will come to an end. So they may have run away from the committee. The report will come to the plenary.
At the appointment committee level, because of course in Parliament you say that 275 people argue.
You don't have the numbers.
Debate, but you have the numbers. That's the matter. Two things I want to ask. But I've seen in this country where some cases are quite expedited.
Okay.
Because of the sensitivity of the case. I like to think that it's not just the minority in Parliament that have concerns about whether or not the Chief Justice's substantive issues that are in court haven't been listened to. It is almost as if she's just been going to court and never ending because she's not seeing finality to it. For such a case, and knowing that if you vet this Chief Justice, he is likely, or he is the one who will empanel judges to sit on her case.
Yeah.
And you go ahead to vet. Why didn't we set a priority where we seek some finality to her case, and then we can also go on with appointments because of conflict of interest issues?
So are you suggesting when...
I'm asking a question, not
he
a
empanels
There's a thing called
the
conflict of
revered
interest.
Supreme Court judges are going to pander to the whims and caprices of the...
There's a thing called conflict of interest. It's not that it's
in any case, MFA, without being approved as a substantive Chief Justice, if he were still an acting Chief Justice, he will still be empaneled.
I mean, you have said that there's a difference between an acting and then a substantive.
But for empaneling, so
acting,
today, without his nomination, until his approval, if the case is listed for hearing, he will still be empaneled. So it doesn't matter whether he's acting or whether he's in substantive position. If you think his presence will influence the judges, I mean, nothing will change.
No, but would people be wrong to nest this idea and this perception?
But that would be an insult to the intelligence and the impartiality of the revered Supreme Court judges. No, you have judges who were appointed by a particular government or a particular regime. Cases come and they vote against that regime. Don't we have that? If we go in by the elevation of Chief Justice Baffoe-Bonnie, he was appointed to the Supreme Court by His Excellency John Ajikum Kufuor. 2 years in a peace court. 2 years, he elevated him to Supreme Court. But so going by, I mean, the analogy of MPP, they should rather be very comfortable with Chief Justice Baffoe-Bonnie because he was elevated to appeals court, moved to the Supreme Court by President John Ajikum Kufuor.
But I'm not sure I'm not sure their uncomfortability is with the person. They made that known. They say their issue is with the process, not him. Not so. Yesterday, the minority leader said they don't have an issue with the person.
They described him as disputed nominee.
Oh, but not with the person.
So what is the dispute about his nomination?
You're talking the process.
No, there's nothing wrong. The Constitution is clear that the nomination should be done in consultation with the Council of State. Was that done?
That has been done.
And there should be formal communication to Parliament. Was that done?
Yeah.
And
there's always been debate about portions of the Constitution when it comes to interpreting of it, because then people will read it and impute their own interpretation and all of that. So we shouldn't act surprised when a person has an issue with a process that has been laid down.
You're talking about the processes. Can you pinpoint any aspect?
I'm not sure.
Or those who are arguing about the processes, have they been able to pinpoint any aspects of the processes?
Their case has been with that there is an unresolved case in court.
No, but he's a lawyer. That's what I'm saying. That
let's go to the lawyer.
In fact, when a case is pending in court, does that stop all other constitutionally mandated bodies to perform their duties? Even he knows when he goes to court with clients and they are litigating over land, an injunction has not been granted, he will advise his client that go ahead to do whatever you are doing because there is no injunction restraining you from doing whatever you are doing. So if they are minded, they should go to court, injunct everybody from doing whatever we're doing. Until that is done, the Parliament will continue. And the ruling was clear. I've seen the respected minority leader going to court on several occasions. Speaker made ruling on those parliamentarians who had left their parties, and Speaker made ruling. Didn't the respected majority leader then go to court to challenge that? So when Speaker ruled on his motion, if he was not satisfied, he could have gone to court to challenge that. And if court had ordered that you could not proceed with the vetting, probably that would have been a different ballgame, because when Justice Tokono and her team ruled that those members cannot be expelled from Parliament, Parliament complied. They went back to Parliament, didn't they? So I'm surprised he is not using the same processes. So the issue is you cannot approbate and approbate and reprobate at the same time. Minority came to the appointment committee. I was there, well rehearsed and prepared to come and dramatize, to come and cause confusion, and later walked out. So it was well rehearsed. In fact, we heard it even from the corridors of the minority 3 days ahead.
But these are your colleagues, and you are referring to their reactions as drama.
Oh yes, but that was.
What if it's a serious matter? Think about it. What if it's a serious matter that's coming across as drama? But you hang on to that. Let's go to the lawyer at least for some. Is there a provision in the Constitution that says that when the president nominates, the appointment committee or parliament must vet within a specific time?
No, I've not seen. I don't know if we have it in their rules, but I've not seen any provision that gives specific timelines for nomination. I'm actually looking for. I mean, he's a parliamentarian. Your rule on sub judice, if you could find it for me, I'll be glad.
Okay.
Yes. So, a very important point that we've not discussed yet is the effect of prejudice or the prejudicial effect on the courts. You see, even in Parliament, they have a rule on sub judice, meaning you cannot, when a matter is sub judice or when a matter is before the court, you don't have the opportunity to comment on that. Why? Because of a weight Parliament has as an arm of government. When you discuss matters which are pending before courts, it has the tendency to prejudice the minds of the courts, let alone make a decision on something that is actually pending before courts, which effect will be much more stronger than even commenting on this issue. Look at this scenario where the Chief Justice who has been removed is challenging her removal. Now, before that matter will be heard, the Speaker and Parliament will have gone through the process of vetting, submitting a name and the appointment of a new Chief Justice. Now, what then becomes, and what value would that have, or what effect would that have on the courts? It will even make it difficult for the courts to impartially decide on the matter. And it's for that reason that there's even that rule on against sub judice in their standing orders, just to prevent the prejudicial effect on the courts.
But lawyer, he makes an important point.
Yes.
By referring to the swearing in
I'm coming there.
Of the two
Are you
presidents.
suggesting one?
I'm coming there. So you see,
the case
for that,
is dead on arrival.
There's a clear constitutional provision that talks about the process and when the president should be sworn in.
Okay.
So for that, there's a clear constitutional provision. And you see, in the absence of a president, who stands in the vacuum? Yes, in few instances, the Constitution says in the absence of the President and the Vice President, the Speaker of Parliament stands in the vacuum. But the Speaker of Parliament actually belongs to a different arm of government. So it's totally different and I don't want us to confuse this with that of the Chief Justice. Here we have a Chief Justice, and in this matter, the senior-most judge of the Supreme Court, who is in acting capacity. It's different from a situation where the Constitution prescribes that on the 7th of January, we should swear in the president. So here, the Constitution clearly talks about the processes. And I think that even by virtue of that was the reason why there was a new constitutional instrument that sought to reduce the timeline for decision-making in presidential election petitions so that you can easily resolve, and whatever happens, you move on.
But even though the Constitution gives a timeline within which the president has to be sworn in, if a case goes to court, his argument is that, per your logic now, if that case in court, then of course it restrains Parliament from going ahead to swear the president in, even though the Constitution says
but the Constitution gave a specific
It gives a specific timeline.
Yes.
So I get it. The Constitution has prescribed what should be done.
I get it, but he says that per your logic today, that because the case is in court, Parliament has to restrain itself until the case is dealt with. The same way, even though the Constitution gives or prescribes a date on which the president should be sworn in, because the case is in court, then Parliament is restrained.
That's the first one. The lawyer should speak. Make your point.
Yes. What I'm saying is that for the presidential situation, there's a clear timeline that is prescribed by the Constitution. And the Constitution does not talk about any compromise.
Okay.
And if you look at it even logically, there are three arms of government. These arms of government are actually independent and they should function as such. It's in limited circumstances where in the absence of the president and the vice, the Constitution actually delegates the Speaker of Parliament to be in acting capacity. So we can't have a country where we only have two arms of government functioning. That's the judiciary and the legislature, with the Speaker acting as president for a long period. But here, this is a different situation. In this situation, we have a full arms of government, which is the judiciary, fully functioning, with the Supreme Court, with the senior-most justice of the Supreme Court being in acting capacity. And let's understand the fact that, yes, we say that someone in acting capacity does not have the full powers of a substantive chief justice, which is true. But almost all the important things that a chief justice in acting capacity can, a substantive justice can do, a chief justice in acting capacity can do.
No.
So it's not as fatal. I said almost all the important things. I chose my words very carefully. I didn't say everything. So it's not as fatal. So comparing this situation with that of the presidency is like comparing our apples with oranges. Okay. And in that situation, and even that, trust me, I still think that it has some sort of a prejudicial effect. I mean, the law and how the law operates and how judicial decisions are made are different things that I may not want to go into. But I think that even when we have opportunity to, in relation to the amendment of our constitution, timelines for elections, I even think that that is something that should be looked at. Because once there is already a president seen, a president working, a president acting, it may be difficult for a bench or a panel to decide otherwise. Yeah. So in my opinion, that's why if, let's say, we talk about having elections earlier, maybe around November, we could have a process where the dispute resolution process could be earlier than the swearing-in with strict timelines.
Yesterday, the CJ nominee sort of said something that in Kenya, they do within 21 days. So he is going to bring a legislation that will seek to reduce the time.
Exactly. So even with that, I even believe that when there is process for disputes, because of the prejudicial effect, it should be done earlier. But now look at the current state of our constitution. Here, there's strict timelines. In the instance of the Chief Justice, there's not. And I don't think that waiting for a few months will hurt anything.
Especially waited for 7 months.
Especially 7 months when?
Yes, when he was suspended.
Which,
7 months.
He's been acting for 7 months.
But she was still.
But I'm quite curious
there was the Chief Justice. She was not removed for 7
so why didn't we just? I know that there was a legal break and all of that. It means that the acting Chief Justice has all the power to empanel.
Yes.
Is that everything? Truth is, as administration of justice not been
No, Kojo. The issue is the Chief Justice, acting Chief Justice, will only empanel when the case has been listed.
How is this important case not listed?
It's not the Chief Justice who lists cases.
So yes, I get it. But why is this?
It's the Chief Justice who lists, he empanels. It's not.
No, but so the whole point is that the Chief Justice is the one in charge.
I don't want us to do politics. But prior
it's not political.
December, serious cases that NDC had filed in court, some over 1 year, 2 years were there. After your Americans went to court the same day, the then Chief Justice saw the need to empanel, adjudicate, gave ruling on that very day. So don't let us talk.
But I'm asking that.
Don't let us.
Such an important case as this.
As what?
As a former CJ challenging the removal process. Why has it not been listed on this?
So is there any timelines like you are saying for the presidential petition? They say 42 days. So has anything been breached in the constitution for that matter, not having been dealt with? Ankojo, this thing we are talking about, we are not discussing in vacuum. Supreme Court has made an emphatic ruling recently in the Vincent Assefue's case that when cases are pending, they should not hold the hands of constitutional bodies from performing. So there is a recent ruling in Vincent Assefue's case, and he knows. He's a lawyer. For 7 clear months, are we not in a country where we've all been complaining about people being put in acting positions, and they will be there for 6 months, a year, they are not being confirmed, and we are all complaining about that. So for how long should the acting Chief Justice be in acting position when, especially, there is no definite timelines for the case to be dealt with? Unlike in the case of the presidential petition, within 42 days, it must be dealt with.
Final question for me on this.
In litigation,
yesterday,
you cannot put timeline.
Have a problem with the terminology disputed. If you look at her judicial review that she's seeking in court, if you look at an order prohibiting consideration and appointment of a new substantive Chief Justice, why is that?
So if you are in court and there has not been a ruling, because you...
If there's a ruling, then the matter is not disputed anymore. If you rule on the matter, then it's not...
then you can say you are... So who is disputing?
The Chief Justice, among all of the reliefs that she's seeking, the removed Chief Justice, she is also seeking. So can I ask this question because there seemed to be a concern about the use of disputed nominated Chief Justice.
The issue is she is disputing her removal. She's not disputing, there's no dispute about the nomination because the nomination is grounded on Article 144 of the Constitution. Is there any dispute and ambiguity about that?
That's what she said. It was her claim. One of her reliefs she's seeking is the process to be halted. So that becomes a dispute. That becomes an issue to be resolved by the courts.
146.
You said?
It's not the 146.
That becomes an issue to be resolved by the courts.
144.
Beyond the 146, she is seeking an order prohibiting the consideration and appointment of a new substantive Chief Justice of Ghana.
So has that been granted?
If it's granted, then it's no longer disputed.
Once that has not been granted, nobody is stopped.
You see, once you do the thing, you are going to render that claim negatory.
Yeah. No, not negatory. Not negatory.
Because, so after the vetting, what will the court decide on? If the person has now been approved and has now been vetted and approved, what is the court?
No, the court will give consequential orders. What to do? Consequential orders when court is affirming or court is affirming the position of the former Chief Justice, there will be consequential orders as to what to do. So there's no dispute about that at all. So my point is that 7 months is enough. The Chief Justice was appointed by this very Constitution, the former Chief Justice, and this same Constitution removed her from office. Nobody is stopping her from pursuing what she sees as injustice. But also, nothing stops Parliament from performing its constitutionally mandated duty. So, what happened yesterday, if anybody is minded and thinks anything in the Constitution has been breached, that is why the court is there. And the law will always be the law. So, I'm looking forward for that process to be challenged. It was challenged on the floor of Parliament. They lost. So if they think there is still something in it, then you go to court. In fact, I'm very surprised the very people who have used courts over the years to fight these matters are now running away from courts. No, but the process yesterday, I'm saying I want to see going to court to challenge.
Someone has already, MFA, may I?
Please.
Yes. So the matter is already being challenged in courts, and that is what the minority leader was trying to draw the attention of the court, of the plenary, of the speaker, that this matter is already being challenged in court.
Then it came to the plenary and was dealt with.
I'm saying that the matter is already being challenged in court. So you want him to?
If it's dealt in Parliament, does it mean that it cannot be dealt in? It's not in court anymore.
No, it's at the court. But what I'm saying is, it cannot be dealt at the committee. Once it's dealt with the
he didn't seek to deal with the matter.
With the speaker, you know.
He didn't seek to deal with the matter at the plenary. What he said, he was given a preliminary comment on the vetting. He didn't seek at all to really litigate the matter that had been decided by the speaker.
Lawyer, you were a lawyer and you know this.
Yes.
In the plenary, the respected minority leader came by motion.
Yes.
And the speaker, you know, Parliament, we have the speaker.
Yes.
We have speakers, 2 other speakers. And the speaker himself was presiding, dealt with the matter, made a determination on it. Then you bring the same thing at the committee level where one of the deputy speakers was presiding. And he cannot make a determination contrary to what the speaker had made.
So I watched this twice. This is what happened. The minority leader was not seeking to relitigate what had been decided by the speaker. When the nominee was brought before the committee, the leaders were given opportunity to give their preliminary comments. It was in that preliminary comment that the minority leader made those statements he made, clearly showing disapproval for the decision that had been made by the speaker. But he was not
the very issue you brought to the
so can
floor.
he not?
And let's be clear. Did you listen to majority leader?
Yes, I did.
The issue of the preliminary comment.
Yes.
It's not right of leadership. It's a privilege. They say when committee.
It's practice.
No. But
it's practice.
No, but there are occasions they are waived. The chairman decides. That no,
it wasn't waived in this instance.
I've been at various committees, so I'm telling you the rationale behind that. If you try to use that privilege to abuse people, that's where the problem is. So it is not as if it is a right.
But if I could
it's a privilege.
Make a comment, not on the substantive matter we are discussing. I think that the biggest problem yesterday was how the Deputy Speaker controlled the committee. In the sense that, as a Deputy Speaker, he should have taken charge of what happened in the committee. Now, the minority leader was making certain comments which were being objected to at every point in time. Like every line was being objected to. That's fine. But what he should have allowed in relation to how he was controlling the committee, he shouldn't have allowed that to go on throughout the process. In my opinion, he should have allowed him to finish making his statement.
All right.
Then they could have objected to either the whole statement or those portions.
Your point is well made there.
No, in Parliament, when point of order is raised, it doesn't matter. When point of order is raised, you have to be stopped.
Okay.
And the order, point of order,
thank you very much.
should be listened before you proceed.
Nana Ikwamo Boateng in Ablekuma Central says, aka Dr. Baumia will lead MPP into victory 2028. One cannot believe, you use some words, I'm not going to use them, in the conduct of Mahama Yarga in yesterday's vetting. The majority in Parliament are so intolerant to the extent that a ranking member of a committee cannot express his opinion. Is this what the NDC wants to use their supermajority for? The NDC have succeeded in destroying our judicial system. He brought in Nana Ikwamo Boateng.
I totally disagree. Are we not in this country when social media commentators all believe that the chair and the majority have been bullied by the minority at appointment committee sittings? In fact, it is the chairman and our leader who have been accused of not being, strong enough.
Thank you. Thank you. We're grateful to you. Honorable Dixon Dia is MP for Brekum West. He joined us there. And also, Kobe Amwa is lawyer. He joined us as well. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Well, we'll take a break here. We will be back with much more on the AM show. Do stay with us. Well, welcome back to the AM show. Let's go back to Parliament and what happened yesterday during the vetting of the Chief Justice nominee and have a conversation with Nana Baffoe-Bonnie, his MP for Mencha South and also the Vice Chairperson for the Legislation Subcommittee of Parliament. Right, Nana? Good morning to you. Thanks for joining. I saw you at the vetting yesterday. I thought that, well, we're going to have a good session. But at what point in time did you know that you're going to walk out?
In the course of the interruptions by the majority leader and the seemingly, if you like, tacit support of the chair gave us the impression that we are not likely to have, an orderly, peaceful vetting process. And so to avoid the event that befell us sometime this year, where the vetting process became so chaotic, we then decided that, look, we have already made known our position as far as the appointment of the CJ is concerned. The minority made it known when some of our colleagues led a motion to be filed, which motion was not admitted by the Speaker. And so, invariably, it is that position that we are here to see if we can change our mind as far as the questioning is concerned. And so, having sat through and seen the posture of the chairperson and the majority leader, the fundamental question that confronted us was, what was going to be the end game of this vetting? if the end game, what was going to be the end game of this vetting. The end game being that questions will be overruled by the chairperson. Some of us will not be allowed to speak by the chairperson. There will be constant interruption by the majority leader and the majority chief whip. Then what is the point of being there? What is the point of sitting through? So that people would say we're there after all. Then we decided, you know something, let's state our collective position, which would have come out from the questioning. And then, having stated our collective position, the fundamental question would be, what then would be our usefulness if we sit through the vetting?
So you're saying that it wasn't a preconceived, agenda you came into the vetting
No.
to walk out.
As far as
because you had already objected to the
As far as
process.
I am concerned, there was no prior meeting at which we decided as a caucus to walk out. There was no prior meeting. It was the events that took place at that moment, taking into account historical events at such appointment committees since we went to Parliament, in this 9th Parliament. We then decided whether it will be good, it will be in the interest of the minority, it will be in the interest of the nation, not just this country, but outside of it. People would say our parliament is being chaotic. We just wanted to avoid it. And so we took the peaceful position, the peaceful approach. And I believe that Ghanaians being a peace-loving people, they would also come to the conclusion that it was better than sitting down and, causing some commotion or anything resulting in some commotion.
Ghanaians disagree with this position because yesterday, if you monitor social media, they thought it would have been better you sat in, asked the relevant questions that they were expecting you to ask, but you walked out.
It depends on who you are referring to.
Okay.
We also monitored social media yesterday and people were happy. Obviously, not everyone will be happy with our position. But I believe that with such an interaction, we'll bring out our real intentions and they would agree with us that, for instance, yesterday, I raised my hand to speak and I was told by the chair, right, upon the prompting of the chief whip, my brother Roxon, that I am not a member of the committee.
Okay.
Everyone that has followed proceedings of the appointment committee in respect of the legal cluster would know that I've sat through every vetting of the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, the Supreme Court nominees who were subsequently approved. And so if you say...
Because you're a lawyer.
Yes, because I'm a lawyer, and not just because I'm a lawyer, because I'm a member of the Subsidiary Legislations Committee, which is a relevant sector. So when it comes to these vettings, there is an agreement as to what is the relevant sector committee. Ordinarily, you would say is the Judicial Committee. However, when leadership go into conclave and make a decision as to who sits in there, they come to the agreement that the legal cluster should sit in there. And so you have some of us who go in there and would ask certain questions, certain number of questions. Others will ask more than we have, and the leadership will ask more than all of us. And so there's that prior arrangement before the vetting commences. And so if anybody has very respectfully paid attention to the vetting of the Attorney General, Supreme Court nominees, the person would know that I, for instance, have had opportunity to sit in awe. But yesterday, when I raised my hand to speak, the Chief Roxon said, I am not a member of the committee. And strangely, the chairman accepted it. Clearly, the chairman of the committee was working according to the promptings of the majority chief whip and the majority leader.
That would be an unfair conclusion.
Very respectfully. It is not a baseless conclusion. If it was a baseless conclusion, then you can say it's unfair. But when you look...
What you're saying is that he couldn't work on his own independent mind.
You can judge freely. Just very respectfully go and watch the video and see that in many instances, it was upon the promptings of the persons I have mentioned.
But at a point, he shut him down and said that, I am the chair, I'm in control. Daphne wanted to intervene. He told him to
it was
shut up.
After the Honorable Anodompre had stepped in and said, Chair, you are the chair of this committee. It looks as if you do things that are stated by the majority leader. It is you only catch the eye of the majority leader and not the minority. So it was at that point that he realized that, look, people are becoming aware. You see? So it is there for everybody to see. When all these things were happening, and then we took that coffee or cocoa break, as you put it, we decided that, look, from the way things are going, if we decide to sit in this vetting, right, the sum total of their action, if you put everything together, it showed a certain disposition. The disposition that today we are here not to allow anything we don't want to happen, anything that we don't find favorable to happen. But, you know, this is democracy. If the minority doesn't have its say, there is always chaos. And so we then decided that, look, let them have it. We'll walk away. We don't want a situation where the chaos that resulted not long ago to repeat itself, especially during the vetting of the Chief Justice.
Did you ask the people of Swami, Menchia South, whether or not they want you out of the house?
I don't think the people of Menchia South will be happy to see me raising tables, raising chairs. At that point, they trust me well enough to know that I am in a position to make a judgment that would not affect the reputation of the royal people of Menchia South.
But of course, it shouldn't be an undertaking of an MP to be raising tables, even though you're getting away.
Exactly. And so sometimes, you know, deciding to stay away so that there will be peace is maturity. And that is exactly what we did yesterday.
So at the cocoa break, what happened between the two sides?
No, the two sides, we had discussions. We found a way to reach out to them. Now, look, take it easy. Let us have the opportunity to participate freely in the process. You would have your way because you have the numbers. But if we don't have our say, if we are gagged, it does not, you know, augur well for the whole process. But it looks like when we came back, they were determined not to change. When we came back, you heard Honorable Ayariga repeat that he was going to object to every line that the minority leader was going to say. Okay. Well, look, until the minority leader says what he wants to say, you wouldn't know what he wants to say, right? And so it is after he says what he wants to say that you take exception to it, for which reason you raise your objection. Therefore, why don't you allow him to finish? If you have any reservation, you raise it. After all, in the instances where the chairman, you know, accepted the position of Honorable Ayariga, didn't we all hear him say that? What Honorable Ayariga had stated, he was expounding it. He stated so. Therefore, the outcome of any favorable objection is the deletion or the comment being expunged, right? Mm-hmm. That being the case, you should or you could have allowed him to finish so that every part of the statement that you didn't find acceptable could be expunged. But to interrupt him at every point only was an indication of things to come. To the extent that we're being told that known members of the committee were not members. And you and I know that the chair, once he says that he has overruled your question, I will not allow you to talk. You can't do anything. If in anger you protest, it will come across as you are being disrespectful, you are arrogant, and so on and so forth. And so in that atmosphere, I believe that the collective position of the minority, once read out by the minority leader, was enough.
But the accusation by the majority is that your leader, Honorable Alexander Afeoma-Akin, wanted to use the committee room to smuggle in a motion that had been debated and decided upon in plenary. And that's why the majority leader was bent on stopping him from doing that.
No. Nothing stopped him from giving an introductory remark. It is part of the practice. And I heard my colleague who was here not long ago say that it is discretionary. What we all need to understand, that the ground rules for the appointments committee setting are agreed upon ahead of the meeting.
Okay.
And so if a particular practice was going to be modified, that understanding would have been made clear ahead of that sitting. It was never made clear that there was going to be modification. Therefore, introductory remarks were not going to be allowed. In fact, the minority leader showed his comment to the chairman of the committee ahead of the meeting.
Okay.
The minority leader showed his comment to the majority leader ahead of the meeting. And so it wasn't something which was news to them. Everything was there. And by way of parliamentary practice, in instances where there were disagreements, they would agree to modify the statement ahead of the meeting. And so if indeed there was that disagreement, that modification could have come ahead of the meeting. For him to have come to read it, I doubt if there was some objection to it initially.
Okay.
And so in the circumstance of this matter, clearly, it was a preconceived idea to make sure that the minority was not allowed to participate in the process freely. If you observe, like I reiterated or I stated earlier on, it was not just the statement of the minority leader, which they had a problem with. They had a problem with some of us even speaking, which meant that we're not going to be allowed to operate freely. They had turned the appointments committee into a law court.
What would it have taken out of the vetting if the minority had decided, okay, we are shelving the opening remarks, we're going straight to be asking the question?
The opening remark was going to set the tone.
Okay.
It was going to let the Ghanaian public know our view, our position. And so asking questions alone would not have sufficed. The questions would have come to augment the opening remarks. In other words, the opening remarks was supposed to give Ghanaians the direction as to where we stood with the appointments committee. And I think that it was very necessary.
But isn't that why people say you had a predetermined motive before you came in? That following the sequence that you had taken on, you objected to the whole process because you said the former CJ was in court and had not been given fair hearing. So, of course, when the minority started, people then said, oh, minority was going to walk out of this vetting.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Parliament is a place of records. Posterity must come to know our position in respect of events. And so it is not wrong to have a position, right? A position may not necessarily be indicative of your mentality or your mindset. in terms of events. I have a position, but it doesn't mean I'm going to boycott. I have a position. It doesn't mean that I'm going to walk out. Posterity, at the very least, should know what I thought of the process. And that for me, is not wrong. Look, my brother, there's a real elephant in the room that cannot be ignored.
Which is?
Justice Tokonu is in the law courts fighting to reverse the decision of the Article 146 committee and the president. Don't forget, the letter removing her was signed by the president. And so you can't remove the president from the process. And so she's in the law court fighting to reverse these decisions. If she succeeds, right, it would mean that Justice Baffoe-Bonnie ordinarily should not be the Chief Justice. Within that context, what you want to say, or you would agree with me, that now there is a tug of war over the seat of the Chief Justice between Justice Tokonu and Justice Baffoe-Bonnie, within that context. Because if she succeeds, Justice Baffoe-Bonnie will cease to be the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. True or false?
True.
If she fails, Justice Baffoe-Bonnie will remain the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. True or false?
True.
Good. And so we are saying that in that circumstance, will Justice Tokonu obtain a fair hearing? That's a very key question. Why do we say so? There is a proverb in Chi. You see, Ubia niwa otonsa ishra ni busuefo. Ubia niwa otonsa ishra ni busuefo. I don't think that Justice Baffoe-Bonnie will ever pray that Justice Tokonu succeeds. I don't think that any member, because look, if I was Justice Baffoe-Bonnie, I wouldn't say that prayer. Let's be very realistic. It is the aspiration of every justice of our Supreme Court to become a Chief Justice one day. It is the aspiration of every judge in the Republic of Ghana to become a Supreme Court judge. When you get to that level, what is next? What is next for you is the office of the Chief Justice. It's an exclusive office occupied by few. It's an exclusive office that comes with perks, that comes with opportunities, that comes with respect, that comes with doors that are open for you, that comes with rights, that comes with privileges guaranteed by the Constitution of the country in express terms, that comes with privileges that are not even written in the Constitution. They are incidental to that office. By the grace of God, you get that office to occupy, and somebody wants to pull your seat. Are you going to aid that person? Aiding that person from where you sit. This is what you do. You now have the opportunity to determine who sits on even her matter. The Chief Justice will decide who sits on the case of Justice Tokonu. The Chief Justice will decide who is the case even assigned to. At the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice will determine the panel that will even hear the matter, the date on which the matter will be heard. So the Chief Justice has firm control over the fate of Justice Tokonu. Meanwhile, the Chief Justice is now in a tug of war with Justice Tokonu, because if Justice Tokonu succeeds, he is no longer the Chief Justice. If Justice Tokonu fails, he remains the Chief Justice. This is the matter at play.
Okay.
And so we were drawing the attention to the situation that, look, there's really a white elephant. There's really an elephant in the room. We can't ignore that.
Okay.
There is precedent in Parliament. When the chief of staff wrote a directive directing that state-owned agencies should sack the over 300,000 Ghanaian youth who had been hired by the MPP administration. Ghanaians who had been hired. Parliament, the minority, thought that Parliament should not sit unconcerned about it. And so we raised it for discussion on the floor of Parliament. The minority leader at the time, I think it was the majority chief whip or the majority leader himself, said that because Henry Nana Boakye, the national organizer of our party, had instituted a suit at the Supreme Court, that issue should not be raised because under our standing orders, when a matter is in court, it should not be raised.
Oh, really?
Yes, because of the sub judice rule. When it was raised, the chairman of the appointments committee, who is also the first deputy speaker, at the time presiding or sitting as a speaker, accepted that.
But aren't these two different, separate issues?
They are not.
Because the vetting is you performing your constitutional duty, right? Isn't that so?
Yes.
And I'm not sure the case being in court should prevent the House from performing its constitutional duty. So if you compare the two, it doesn't really come in, not so. Because the other one is just a matter which is in court and someone wants to discuss in Parliament. The other one, which is the vetting, is your constitutional mandate that you need to execute.
Parliamentary proceedings are naturally or generally the performance of the constitutional mandate of the MPs. One of our mandates is oversight over the executive. Is that not the case?
Yeah.
And we perform that mandate by debating or commenting on issues on the floor of Parliament. And so that was also a constitutional mandate, just like the Appointments Committee's mandate.
Okay.
The Appointments Committee, right, is not even provided for in the Constitution. The Appointment Committee is our own adopted procedure for achieving a constitutional objective of approving of appointments. And so that is our internal mechanism for achieving a constitutional objective. They are distinct. And so they are both, even what we're doing on the floor of Parliament was more of a constitutional mandate than the Appointments Committee.
So you think you should have been allowed to raise the matter up?
Yes.
But let's return to the argument about the CJ deciding the fate of the former CJ. What changes now that he is the acting to decide how the case travels? Because I'm not sure you have an issue with him being acting. You have an issue with him being substantive CJ, not so. What changes if he's the one acting?
When he becomes a substantive CJ, it's worse. It's worse because now he knows he sits on the seat. And it is even worse because, the only way to remove a Supreme Court judge or the Chief Justice is through an Article 146 procedure. And so even if Justice Tokonu succeeds, because he's substantive, you can't take him out. You cannot take him out. Because, you see, when Justice Tokonu succeeds, the only way to bring him back will be an order, supposedly. The only way you could have brought her back, please, let me rephrase my word, would have been an order of the court saying that let's reinstate her. But the Supreme Court has already decided in the case of Ghana Bar Association versus Attorney General, the Aban case, that the court cannot remove the Chief Justice through a judicial procedure because the procedure is already stated in the Constitution under Article 146. When you go to Article 146, one of the grounds for removing the CJ is not an order of the court.
No, but
please, it's not an order of the court. And so, in the circumstance of this matter, once there is a substantive CJ, Chief Justice Tokonu can never return back, can never return to her position. And so, by approving Justice Baffoe-Bonnie, we have made permanent and taken away the rights of Chief Justice Tokonu as far as her reinstatement, possible reinstatement, is concerned.
But you're a lawyer. Why does the law or the court say null and void?
The court would say null and void. But there's no way the court of Ghana will reverse the appointment of a Chief Justice duly nominated. You see, when you look at the provisions as regards the president, I've heard that analogy or comparison being made. Go and check. The constitutional provision on a disputed precedent, as far as it's concerned, anticipates the possibility of the president being returned, the possibility of the president being removed. If you look at the true and proper interpretation of those provisions. But the provision of the Constitution regarding the appointment and removal of a CJ does not anticipate the possibility of a removed CJ returning to office. They are distinct. And that is why I made reference to the Ghana Bar Association versus the Attorney General matter. The only way a disputed CJ goes to court, succeeds, and returns to her office would be to take away the new Chief Justice. And that can only be done on a court order. Don't forget, the president himself cannot even remove the CJ. Right? It can only be done by a court order. But a substantive CJ cannot be removed through a court order. The Supreme Court has by itself stated so. In the case of Ghana Bar Association versus Attorney General, where Justice Pegan stated that by this procedure, you see that the Supreme Court will remove Justice Aban as the Chief Justice. But one of the ways by which Justice Aban as Chief Justice can be removed is not by true court processes or court order. Right? And so that matter is already settled. And so in the present circumstances, once you have nominated a Chief Justice, the person goes through Parliament, receives the blessings of Parliament through approval, it is done and dusted.
So now you know it's done and dusted because he's been vetted.
That is the point we were making yesterday. That was the point, that we are not being fair. And so we needed to make it known and captured in the records of Parliament so that tomorrow, when our children, great-grandchildren, come to read what has gone on, they would say, yes, indeed, the position of the minority was to stop a constitutional crisis. But the rest didn't agree.
You say the wheels of justice grind slowly. So, of course, we wouldn't have known when that matter would have been settled, right? The Chief Justice case. So if it was going to take us 2 years, we should still have had an active CJ.
That is the problem. The problem is that now the very persons that have control over it will now decide how swift, right, the wheels of justice move. They will decide. They will then decide how slow it moves. So it is entirely in their hands. Now, when you make them substantive, when you make him substantive, do you think that he will make it move swiftly? In fact, prior to being made substantive, when the issue of the injunction came up, the court was empaneled to hear it within a matter of 3 days. Subsequently, all the other processes have come to a halt. Why do you think so?
Well, so You are telling the people of Menchia South that you took, that the minority took the best decision in their interest to have left the vetting of a Chief Justice to the majority alone because you felt that you wouldn't be allowed to have your way.
In fact, very respectfully, the good people of Menchia South, a community with over 77 literacy rates, a community who voted for me because they respect my position, they respect my judgment, know that such decisions are not left to me alone. They know that such decisions are not come to easily. They are very difficult decisions that are made, reluctantly. It is the last straw to save the nation from any chaos. And they know that that is the circumstance we found ourselves. And it was for peace. I don't think that, very respectfully, the foremost constituent, my foremost constituent, which is Otumfo Opemso, whenever we mention his name, we
have to bow.
We have to raise ourselves or stand up. I doubt he will be happy to see me in a fist cuff in Parliament. No, he speaks to me and says that, look, don't bring me any unfortunate situation. This is a constituency where, respectfully, I'm so proud of those who have gone ahead of me. They are giants. They are giants. Dr. Kwame Safuadu, Dr. Kwame Adokofo, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempe, lawyer Charles Amankwa. It's a constituency of giants, MPs that have occupied that seat. And I wouldn't want to be the one to add blemish.
What about the vetting itself? The relevant questions that you wanted to ask, were they asked in your absence?
Very respectfully, I think that Ghanaians had the opportunity to assess by themselves.
You are a lawyer, you watched it.
Let me say this. You see, vetting processes, it's not just about the questions, it's about the answers.
Okay.
The answers and the way and manner they are given, would let the people judge the nominee. I think that Ghanaians are the ones to judge, not myself, in the circumstance. You see, there are some things that have been said about the new patriotic party, particularly the Nanado administration. So many things were said about the Nanado administration. I'm not here to clean him up. I know vindication is in the womb of time. And so with time, just as President Kufuor was vindicated, I'm sure that Ghanaians will begin to accept certain things that Nanado did and have him vindicated. And so everything is within the hands of Ghanaians. But there are some few things that I would like to draw our attention to. One of them is this. One of the issues that we have had to, deal with as a party, suddenly in this country, is that we're bypassing senior judges and appointing junior judges to the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. In fact, yesterday, my dear uncle, Justice Baffoe-Bonnie, he's somebody I respect a lot. I have a good relationship with him. And that is why I said to you that decision we took didn't come easily. And we didn't take it because of him. We need to make him understand. We don't hate him. We love him. We took him to the Supreme Court, right? And so we need to make that clear. That said, I was on the tangent that if you look at the trajectory of Justice Baffoe-Bonnie's career, it very respectfully disputes every comment that has been made regarding the MPP's appointment of judges to our Supreme Court, where it was made to seem that we were doing something wrong by appointing judges and not appointing certain judges and not appointing others. Look at Justice Baffoe-Bonnie. He went to the High Court in the year 2002. At the time he went to the High Court from the Circuit Court, Justice Senyor Jemefe was already a justice of the High Court. Justice Senyor Jemefe was already a justice of the High Court, right? Subsequently, he was appointed to the Court of Appeal to become a Court of Appeal judge. At the time he went to the Court of Appeal as a Court of Appeal judge, right, in the year 2006, Justice Vida Akoto-Baffoe was already a Court of Appeal judge, having been there since the year 1999. Justice Akoto-Baffoe was already there, having been there since the year 1999. Justice Baffoe-Bonnie went there in the year 2006. That means he had been there at the time Justice Baffoe-Bonnie went to the High Court, the Court of Appeal. Justice Akoto-Baffoe had already been there for a period of about 7 years. Nevertheless, we took Justice Baffoe-Bonnie, President Kufuor appointed Justice Baffoe-Bonnie to the Supreme Court ahead of Justice Akoto-Baffoe, who had already or who had been at the Court of Appeal for almost 7 years. Justice President Kufuor appointed Justice Baffoe-Bonnie to the Supreme Court. Now, the fundamental question we all need to ask ourselves that is the appointment of our judges to our superior courts on the basis of seniority or merit. If it was on the basis of seniority, I am sure that Justice Senyor Jemefe would perhaps have gone to the Court of Appeal long ahead of Justice Baffoe-Bonnie.
But what about the Chief Justice, not seniority?
I'm coming. If it was by seniority, Justice Akoto-Baffoe would have gone to the Supreme Court long ahead of Justice Baffoe-Bonnie. If it was seniority, right, he perhaps wouldn't have gone to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Now, it's the same with the Chief Justice. When Justice Sophia Kufu was when Justice Georgina Wood was appointed the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, there were seniors. In fact, when Justice Mredu was appointed, there were seniors at the Supreme Court, right? There were persons at the justices at the Supreme Court who were senior to him. Seniority has never been a consideration. And so if to say that you've been there for 17 years, you should have been the Chief Justice, very respectfully, it is inconsistent with the facts on the ground. Okay. It makes our party look bad that we fail to give regard to seniority. What I've just stated in this morning shows that anything but seniority is the consideration. Merit has always been the cause. It was on the basis of merit that Justice Baffoe-Bonnie went to the High Court. It was on the basis of merit that Justice Baffoe-Bonnie went to the Court of Appeal ahead of Justice Akoto-Baffoe.
Okay, all right.
And it was on the basis of merit that Justice Anini Ebua became the Chief Justice, Justice Tokonu became the Chief Justice, Justice Georgina Wood became the Chief Justice, Justice Sophia Kufu became the Chief Justice, Justice Redu became the Chief Justice.
Okay. All right.
At any given time, you have a pool of justices. Only one can become the CJ.
Justice. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'm grateful. Nana Kuyamwa, you've sent this again. It says, Nana Kuyamwa Boatin Ablekuma Central, aka Dr. Bawumia will lead MPP into victory 2028. One cannot believe in the conduct of Mahama Yaraga in yesterday's vetting. The majority in Parliament are so intolerant to the extent that a ranking member of the committee cannot express his opinion. Is this what the NDC wants to use their supermajority for? The NDC have succeeded in destroying our judicial system. Nana Kuyamwa Boatin Ablekuma Central, aka Dr. Bawumia will lead MPP into victory 2028. Michael Yali is in Akweda. Michael, today's your birthday. May the good Lord continue to bless you. You are a good boy. I pray that he continue to elevate you and make you the kind of human being he wants you to be. Michael, nyamli yilao, mdem dikene, babren salun kese, meni bebre baba. Mo ayinle na bompai na dayamle asike yilao with an horrible floor. Is that hustle na igra hanumo tedia na wo ma ayeni baba ma mane Ghana nti awda baba beva mo Michael Yali wo ezile na wani. But before I bounce off, start your morning with a good breakfast at Downtown Kitchen in here in Accra. And for you to have that special one, it's in Asylum Down. Whether you prefer it local or continental, enjoy good coffee, hot tea, eggs, sandwiches, or any meal of your choice before you begin your day. It's better for you to have a breakfast at Downtown. Take a proper lunch break at Downtown Kitchen inside Asylum Down. You can't miss it. The meals are wholesome, The atmosphere is calm and friendly, and the service is very professional and memorable. You've got to be there to enjoy it. Quick enough to get you back to work on time. When work gets busy, Downtown Kitchen brings the food to you in your office. Enjoy fresh, delicious meals delivered right to your office or shop. Your only duty is to give us a call. 0557 730009. 0557 730009. Downtown Kitchen is where you need to be. Well, lawyer Nana J. Baffoe, thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure, my brother. Stay blessed.
He is MP for Mensah South. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with a lot more on the AM show. Please do stay tuned. Now, let me take you to the Ewoya community in the central region. About 2 years, close to 2 years ago, we did a story from there when the lithium had been found there. And the residents in the area were hopeful of the opportunities and the sort of development it will bring to the area. But 2 years on, those hopes are on pause now, as Ewoya residents get worried about Parliament's delay in passing the lithium promise. We've been to the community, engaged them, and they tell us that they can't keep their hopes on hold for much longer. And they're asking the Parliament to try and pass this, lithium deal so that they can get jobs to do. Listen to this one that has been put together by my colleague, Jeveno.
It was all joy in the central region when lithium was discovered within Infantiman municipality and the Abra Asebu Kwamankesi district. To the people and chiefs, this was the beginning of jobs, progress and transformation.
This thing is going to benefit us and is going to provide us a lot of jobs.
But 2 years on, that joy has turned into deep frustration. The delay in ratifying Ghana's first lithium mining project has frozen all activities in the Ewoya. No building, no farming, no development, just waiting. Under this tree in the Ewoya, young men gather daily. It is their usual sport, once for laughter and plans, now for venting their frustration. All they can talk about is the moratorium and how it has frozen their plans. Among them is Richard Mensah, a father of 4, and Kwabena, a farmer. Both men are struggling to understand how a promise of development has left them with nothing. Richard leads us through overgrown weeds to what was meant to be his family home. Now, just a pile of weakening cement blocks.
Abrantaba mesi so mpase mesi dan na me wo amede me magum say ma wo for lithium for na esizi me say ma bra bontumi nkoso bi enam lithium for nti ebi so na egu hai mpase anka mesi dan na me yi me nkwala me de omugum me gu asese ye me ntumi ne omo nda enam me maso nda me nchen nti me gu so anka me biem say anka me timi ma me mba no omo ina adem and say o mesi me blocks ne so say.
He points to the red marking sprayed across the block, the official sign of a freeze on all development. He says he and his uncle bought 4 acres to build and farm on, but all that has come to a standstill.
As I see, I say a dozen. Nti agena kakaka 4 acres. I say bush and obi abedi de subi. They say the or the harbor and say me kase kra me yakra nkamesu. I say o mahame. because many ebe penny I say me bo bla na enuanum nyina omodi mechi say o ma ha me.
Like many in Ewoya, he once worked with Atlantic Lithium, the company that discovered the precious mineral. But when the project stalled, so did his job.
Na de member ejuma ah member ejuma say o say na member echina sa na ada na echina na say wonko biem ama ye ke chire wa blabom.
They issue a moratorium on the land. From that day, you can't farm, you can't build, you can't undertake any economic activity. So the mine takes stock of every property from the date of the moratorium. So if you go and do something new after that date, it's classified as spurious or speculative. That is, you are deliberately doing it so that you qualify for compensation.
Richard's frustration is shared by hundreds of residents, all trapped between uncertainty and survival. Not far from Richard's land lives Kwabena, a farmer and a hunter. His story mirrors Richard's.
Guys, and now must stop with him to me for Nicase. I'm a bush, I'm a land, say, Mundona Mundia Abeoso. But my status and middle for Nana. Little for Ebeka say, Yenjai Ejumana Yen. They say, of course, Ejumana, I'm mind no Bayeno, Ebahayeno, just because I'm a tree for her. At the right now, or say a mom, because I'm Basha Seno, only about Omni Abenya, nice conversation. He had
planted plantain before the moratorium, and even that can no longer continue. Like many, he too lost his job when the company reduced operations following the delay in parliamentary ratification.
For 2 years, na me one point na me do e no ada ho. Na say me can now talk about compensation. Sa 2 years no, say me do anka ma do 4 posts na aka me ye me one point no na be 5 posts. O zi ada abo me say anka every 6 months bia me dua bode na emba bie. Ke fu na ke say anka sisi am ewe be high critic anka me nka say me nya be 3 posts na aka ho. Anka ye bode nko. Sisi am ntumi nya adwuma no.
2 years deprivation from undertaking any economic activity. No farming, no building, no project. Everything is no. So we even had to come in to go and negotiate that, fine. Let them do these petty food crops like maize, like people were going to starve.
In October 2023, government granted Atlantic Lithium a 15-year mining lease for the Ewoya lithium project. But before operations could begin, Parliament's ratification was required. 2 years on, that ratification is still pending.
Aban sign nanka bibia also omuye bia omunyamai
ihe we yefun ye ratification no anya lithium for because ye hunde so we ratify adeno lithium for na wo baboa ewe yaman no enti ye sre aban de omomadiara na omre lithium for ana here we yaman ye sra bam na won ye den won ratify adeno won famo ye sra aban.
During this delay, a moratorium was imposed, freezing all building and farming within the mining concession. It has left residents like Richard and Kwabena stranded, compensations unpaid, and resettlement plans stalled.
But no company will invest into such a venture when the government itself is not helping by way of what? Giving ratification to it. So when I told them, they understood it, and they saw that it is not the fault of the company.
At the time the lease was signed, the global price for lithium was about $3,000 per ton. Today, it has fallen sharply to around $850 per ton. raising concerns about the project's economic viability. In the lead-up to the 2024 elections, President John Dramani Mahama, speaking at a meeting with the Central Regional House of Chiefs, stressed the urgency of rectifying the Ewoya lithium project before it risks becoming a stranded asset.
Right now, lithium is the favored choice for batteries for electric vehicles. But if we don't mine it quickly, otherwise, if time passes by, we have what we call stranded assets. You have an asset, but it's stranded. There's no longer any need for it. And so I think that is something, this is a national cause. If that revenue comes, it's going to come to help the whole nation.
With the collapse in the world market price of lithium, there is now consensus. The initial terms of the lease would have to be revised to keep the project viable. In July this year, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Emmanuel Kofi-Boah, told Parliament he has received Cabinet approval to submit revised terms to Parliament for ratification.
The Ministry has notified Cabinet of the company's request, and Cabinet has granted me the approval to present new terms to be considered in a new memo with revised proposal for the consideration of Cabinet and to Parliament thereafter to save the project.
We will not forgive them if they defer it again.
2 years of silence, 2 years of waiting. The people of Ewoya and the 7 other host communities wait for Parliament's decision, believing it could turn their stalled dreams into reality. Whether the promise of lithium brings prosperity or becomes just another lost dream depends on one thing: action. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Ewoya, Central Region.
How the community is in Ewoya. I mean, this one really tells you a lot about what the community is thinking, what they're looking forward to, and all of that. Let's get more on this by speaking to Eric Stanley Akwa, who is the MC from Fantiman, Municipal. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Now, we've gone to the Ewoya community and other adjoining communities which have been affected by this lithium, and the message is one: they want to see the Ewoya project come on stream. What do you know about where we are in terms of getting this project started?
Thank you very much for having me this morning. Yes, as far as I'm concerned, before NDC assumed office in January 2025, we made strenuous effort. A lot of energies have gone in there.
Okay.
Myself, as well as my MP, Dr. Ebenezer Prince Kojoahen, we have met with the paramount chiefs in those jurisdictions, Ewoya, Mankesimu, Ewoya Fort within Ngusukum, and part of the located communities also falls under Mankesimu paramountcy. We have met with them. I was part of the team, the chiefs who met with Honorable Kofi-Boah and the ministries, all for this ratification. But the good news is that only 2 weeks ago, Ngusukum celebrated its Odambia Festival, where myself, as the municipal chief executive, our member of parliament, Dr. Ebenezer Prince Kojoahen, and the regional minister were all present. And so this issue came up. It was one of the issues that was raised by the paramount chiefs of Ngusukum, Okese, Isando, Okojiamai, on the need for a speed ratification on the Ewoya lithium concession. In response to this request from the Omahene of Ngusukum, our MP, and I quote him, had this to tell all of us there, that it will not be too long from today to see Ewoya lithium ratification duly done or ratified by Parliament. Because according to him, he had engaged the sector minister in this case, Honorable Amakofibua, and he had given him assurance that very soon, very soon, the project, the ratification will happen for project to take off smoothly to better the lots of the youth in Infantima.
But when you go to the community, the youth in Ewoya feel there's a disconnect between them and the company, such that they say, we started a project, we were asked to hold on to that, but we don't seem to really feel that we are important to this whole discussion. How is the Assembly, or what is the Assembly doing to get the proper buy-in of the youth there to say that, well, all the things that are being done are in your favor? Are there any plans of engagement between the Assembly, the company, and the community members, particularly the youth there?
Okay, so what I would say in response to this is that only 2 weeks ago, myself as the municipal chief executive, together with the general manager of the lithium company and all other staff, the chiefs were all there, and we gave them hope. We spoke with them. We told them that, look, it is not as if it is a deliberate thing to renege on what is our responsibility by way of seeing the project executed or in use. But it is because primarily, basically, ratification is always done at the Parliament House. And so I engaged the manager after the engagement in respect of the water project that was commissioned by myself and the manager and the chiefs just 2 weeks ago. That, look, Assembly would engage with the management so we come and meet them. But according to the general manager, they have several subcommittees which are, in tandem with the various affected communities, some of which include compensation committee, stakeholder engagement. I know Dr. One of them is in charge of that. So I think from today, after my engagement with you, I have to actually engage the general manager for us to engage in constant engagement with the affected communities and the youth in particular.
I know you don't work with the company, but when it comes to compensation and all of that, the Assembly plays a major role in it. There's worry that, we've been abandoned. What are the plans on compensation payment? And how are the residents in the area brought in the loop to understand what's happening in terms of compensation?
So this one would be better, spoken to by the general manager and the one that is in charge, who is chairing the compensation committee. So I think after my engagement with you, I would actually engage with the Omaheni of Nkusukumi. He formed part of the primary team that worked on this compensation and other subcommittees. Because I cannot actually off-head give the exact, amount that is stipulated and which category that is supposed to be given to each of the affected, people in the communities or whatever. So all that I would say is that it's all borders on the ratification, which I told you that, look, our MP give us firm hope that it will rectify before this year gets to an end. So I'm quoting him this morning when I got a proud notification from your studio or your station that I would be engaging you. I had to engage my MP, and he gave me his firm, consent that I should actually quote him by his word that, look, before this year gets to an end, we'll see the Weir lithium project being ratified by Parliament.
Today is 11th November, so say within a month we'll get this ratified, and then next year, hopefully the hope of the people of Ewoya would come to fruition, right?
As my MP posited. So do I agree?
Okay, all right then. But as the municipal assembly, what's it like for you in hoping that this whole mine would start, because of looking at the impact it could have on your municipality?
This is a multi-million question, and I'm glad you are asking this. You see, there are some assemblies stand to benefit so much when these projects come to fruition. I.e., the artistic aspect of the corporate social responsibility, not to talk of the job creation, not to talk of many infrastructural enhancement and development that will happen within my community. The assembly stands to benefit so much. Because when it happens, believe you me, look, hey, that aspect of job creation will be, addressed some way, somehow. And so the youth who always trip down my neck and trouble the MP for job creation, the President of the Republic of Ghana, aims at providing, distant jobs. And the lithium, when rectified, I'm telling you, will be one of the distant jobs that the youth would ever love to find themselves in. So the opportunities are many. It comes in plethora form. But you see, like you said, what are the Assembly doing and what are we hoping for? Our hope is that for now we only have to plead with the President of the Republic of Ghana and the Parliament in particular for their ratification, so that at the end of the day, the livelihood of the people of Infantsman, which I'm leading, with the help of God and through our president, in whose capacity I'm serving as the best party executive, would actually bring something better for the life of people of Infantsman to be improved and enhanced respectfully. So for me, I told them when doing the commissioning of the water project that, look, if this ratification has actually happened, look, I can actually beat my chest and tell the revenue collectors not to, trouble themselves, because the revenue that would accrue from the lithium, company alone, runs into millions and billions of dollars, which would actually give the Assembly some kind of life, for us to do a lot of infrastructure, development and take scholarships and other things. But as it stands now, what I would say as municipal chief executive is that I want to join the many people out there, the youth out there, the chiefs out there, the MP whose constituency this is happening, as well as my jurisdiction as MC, that the president should, like he said, when I listened to him, he said, we don't want this lithium to become stranded assets. I quote my lovely president, our hardworking president, our visionary president. We are trading on, as well as the parliamentarians, to get this Ewoya lithium rectified, for us to get something better, for us to, live a meaningful life, and for the youth to enjoy their lives more. Because this moratorium, has taught the economic activities, life is not going on, no commercial activities is happening, no farming activities, and every day, if you should come to my office, you could see queue, youth, stranded, needing support, needing help. Where will I get, support from? But if this is ratified, all of these things, will be off my neck. And they will not continue to keep down my neck. They will not bother the MP on job creation. Even if they will, it will be somehow minimal. It will be minimal. So we are craving and pleading at the same time that we must, as a matter of agency, respectfully, President, if you are listening to Joy News this morning, our visionary president, Professor John Dramani Mahama, and the ministers, the parliament, get the Ewoya lithium project rectified for us to enhance the lives of Infantsman and the citizens as well.
One experience that the oil find taught all of us has to do with the development of skilled skilled workforce. For what is the assembly doing to prepare the youth of the area? You say they are looking for jobs, but in terms of preparing them for the opportunities that will come, what are you doing? Because you don't want a situation when they will say your people are not skilled.
Okay, so I will still retreat on what I said earlier. That during that Odabe festive, myself as well as the MP actually concentrate the mindsets of our youth to get enrolled in some of these skills area, i.e., bulldozer operations, caterpillar, whatever, because these require, skilled areas. So even if it is rectified, but our youth do not possess the required, skill for them to be employed, that will mean cost. 90, cost 90 means zero. And so we are engaging them, and I have also taken it upon myself, and I've engaged human resource, departmental head to engage a broader stakeholder consultation where probably we invite some of the youth around the affected communities for us to engage them, consultate them, and if they need be, support them for them to, acquire this skill in the areas that lithium, when rectified, will be needing their services.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. We're grateful to you for joining us here. So he is the MC for the area, Eric Stanley Aqua. You could hear from him how hopeful they are of this particular company starting in the area. So we'll still keep an eye on the Ewoya lithium mining to see how that particular one goes. If you listen to the MC and the people, they will be very happy the day that the sword will be cut for the operationalization of that particular mining. This is still on the Ewoya lithium promise. When is the ratification being done? The MP says it will be done before the end of the year. We'll keep an eye on it. But good morning to you, Chief Superintendent Gordon Opoku-Kodia, a.k.a. Afila, Regional Operations Commander, Ashanti Region for the Ghana Police Service. Yesterday was your big day, and a friend of mine, Kwame Malcolm and Ella, they say, on this special day of yours, may the good Lord increase you in wealth and grant you more fruitful years. Everyone needs an Afila in their lives. You are closer than a brother to us. So, Chief Superintendent Gordon Opoku-Kodia, a happy belated birthday to you, and may the good Lord continue to bless you. From Kwame Malcolm and Ella in Takrady. We'll take a break here. We'll be back more with a lot more here on the AM Show. Please do stay.
So much for staying with us. This is the AM Show. So we're still reliving that moment, the NSMQ. We haven't recovered yet, and we're still, yes, remember that Infantipim have actually defended their title. But we want to actually have a minute with all of those who made it possible for you to enjoy the whole period on television, and they've joined us in studio. This morning, I'm joined by Justice Nanavi, Chief Technical Officer, Ace Medical Insurance, and Mensima Esi Aqua, Student Life and Career Services Officer at Palm University College, and James Kwewu Sanu, Sales and Marketing Manager at DBS Industries. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in studio.
Thank you for having us.
I'll start by asking, which school did you attend, and which secondary school were you supporting?
So actually, my school did not qualify.
Yeah.
But I was rooting for Mauli Secondary School.
Okay, because you are my neighbor. I'm a Malco girl, so because you are my neighbor, I
was rooting for Mali, but I understand they came out just after the quarterfinals. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Pardon me. Your surname is Kwao.
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 Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And so you were rooting for Mauli.
Yes.
But since Mauli got kicked out, you wouldn't have a choice. Like me, I elected myself and my members and everybody to go for Opokuwari.
Yeah. Probably there's a colleague in the office who also attended Opokuwari. So we were then supporting.
Is it Kevin?
No, he's called Ivan. Okay. Ivan Boateng.
Ivan, and now you people go away anymore support all, but you know problem. Okay. Esi, what about you?
Yeah, I attended Wesley Grammar.
Okay.
Didn't qualify. But I was rooting for a number of schools for a number of reasons.
Didn't you choose one? You choose a number. Okay, you have to be switching goalposts.
Yeah,
okay.
I was educated in Accra, so Presec was like, Presec should come back.
But are you not closer to Accra Academy? Can you not walk to Accra?
Oh, no. You know, President had this invisibility, like, you know, back to back. I was waiting for that.
Accra will not be happy with you at all.
But I'm a fancy, so I was also looking for the fancy to do something.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I don't know whether to say sorry or not. But yeah, sorry, okay. But tell me, Justice, what about you? What secondary school did you attend?
So I'm a Blobby, so I attended Accra.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about that. Anyway, it's good to have you, and thank you as well for making it possible for us to show it to our viewers. But let me start with you, James. I mean, because of the Habitat Fair, I definitely know about DBS. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, what's your business on the NSMQ? Tell me why you decided to sponsor it.
Okay, so for the experience is very rewarding. And for sponsorship, it reflects our commitment to invest into the next generational thinkers, innovators, and probably the problem solvers through their minds and science quiz. So we are probably excited to be one of your sponsors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Issy, for Palm University College, I can understand why it would be such a good place to let people know about Palm, right? But tell me.
But we also, our mission of producing ethical leaders who have integrity, who go after excellence, is also in line with what the NSMQ stands for. So, because I know for some years now, it has been pushing for excellence when it comes to our youth. And for once, you know, all Ghanaians rallied around it. So Palm aligns with all that let us push for excellence, let us push our youth to look for the best. Don't just do science, but become the excellent in science. So that is why Palm joined. And then for everybody else to know what Palm is doing.
Of course, which I'll come to shortly. You tell me. I'm pretending that I don't know what a university college does because Issy is here and I asked her to tell me. But Justice, for AIDS medical insurance, I mean, for years, if you talk about medical insurance, you cannot take out AIDS medical insurance, right?
Exactly.
While I see science quite connected, let me in on the vision and why you decided to be part.
Yeah, so we've done this for the past 4 years. At the very beginning, I think one of the factors that led to the decision to associate ourselves with NSMQ being made was the fact that, you know, you can't take science out of our work, like you rightly mentioned. The actuarial science is there, the medical science is there. All of these are part of what we do. And we've also realized that NSMQ has a very wide reach, right? So it's a win-win. In a way, as we are reaching our target audience, we are also contributing to something worthwhile. So that's basically why we are associated with NSMQ.
That's good to know. James, what was the exciting moment for you? I know you know that. I know that Marley didn't make it, but what was for the whole journey? What was so exciting for you?
Probably I hardly watch because of my job schedule, but I happened to watch the final.
Which is the most important. Don't forget about those who fell off them.
and at a point, since Opokuwari was losing, I felt so sad because there's a colleague we always support in the office who is Opokuwari, everything Opokuwari. We thought this time they are going to...
The day after, how was he or she feeling?
Oh, very sad. Very sad.
Okay, but one would ask, DBS, really, you have just told me that the vision and what the schools actually, or the NSMQ as an entity stands for, you wanted to also align with it and all. But for DBS, would you say that has been fulfilling since you were part of it?
Yeah, very well. Very well. I think we have been sponsors from back to back for all the editions. So I think it's been very rewarding.
Okay,
remind
us what DBS is about.
So DBS basically is one of the leading manufacturer that has all the products, very good products for your building, down from foundation to the roof stage and part of the external works. So for foundation, we have the ready-mix concrete, whereby just after your excavation, you can pour that concrete. Normally we call it blinding, that's what we call it. So we have that concrete. Just after the concrete, you have blocks, whereby you can start laying your blocks. The blocks, we have the 5 inches, we have the 6 inches. If it's a story building, probably just after the ground floor, you continue to the next floor. We have the hulu, which is the 5 and the 6 inches. And when you are done, just for foundation, you have started your block and you are at the roofing stage. we have what we call the steel trusses. That's what we use in place of the wood. You can use the steel trusses for your roof carcass, and just after the carcass is done, then we have the roofing sheet as well. Then the roofing sheet, we have a lot of varieties. We have the self-lock, we have the modern self-lock, we have the IBR, IDT, we have shingles, and we have aluminium and zinc as well. Okay. And finally, after the roof is done, probably we'll look at the external features being your compound. We also have the pavement blocks whereby you can use for your compound, just to pave your compound so nice. And we have the pavement scale whereby you can use for the side walls as well. So, okay. So in a nutshell, we have the roof and we have the concrete and we have the concrete product. Okay, it's good to know. Issy, for Palm University, what courses do you offer?
Okay, so Palm has come to solve a number of problems. I know I have to go to the programs, but the problem of ethical leadership in our country and in Africa at large. So in addition to the BSc Computer Science, BSc Business Administration, and what we call Business Information Technology, that's the emergence of Business Administration, Computer Science, and Information Technology. We are the second university in Africa that is currently having the ANA system and ANA code. And in addition to other things, the main part of this is that our students write exams without invigilators. There are no cameras, just for us to be able to train them to have what we call integrity muscles, so that you do the right thing when no one is watching. Right. You know, you walk the talk. So we push excellence because almost all our students, we have scholarships. Sure. So for you to even be a student in Palm, it means you should be an excellent student and you come and you maintain a high GPA. Okay. But it's not just that. We're also concerned about how people leave universities or graduate and there are no jobs for them. So we have a whole department, that's my department, the Student Life and Career Services. We've put measures in place to ensure that by the time you complete, you have one leg in the industry. Or you've started your own project. Okay, where's Palm University located? Shire Hills. Shire Hills, okay. Yes. Justice, let me in a lot more on ACE Medical Insurance.
Okay, so ACE Medical Insurance is into healthcare financing. And, healthcare financing is in two forms, right? Either what we call third-party administration or the one we are all very much used to, health insurance. Let me talk a bit about third-party administration. So for a group that feels like they want to retain absolute control over the management of their healthcare, however, they don't want to be saddled with a lot of administrative work associated with that, or usually the group would outrightly lack the expertise, right, to navigate the course. So for such a group, they would say that, okay, ACE Medical Insurance, you take over the administration of our healthcare for us. We control the services that are provided to our team members, right? We pay the medical claims ourselves. However, you just do the administrative work for us. So that's TPA. Now, the other side that we are all very much used to is the health insurance bit, right? So that's the part where the group decides to pay premium, right? And then by paying the premium, they get some defined benefits. So these are the two classes of services we offer. We've partnered with over 900 service providers. When I say the service providers, I mean the hospitals, the pharmacies, the radiology centers, the other diagnostic service providers. We've partnered with them across Ghana to provide our members with these services. Okay. So that's basically.
Where's your office located?
We are at the Octagon, on the 9th floor of the Octagon at Accra Central. Okay.
Well, unfortunately, I may have to end the conversation here today. I promise that we'll have another time and then maybe continue from where we have ended, all right? Sure. But thank you so much. Please stay. We're nearly wrapping the show, but there's more. The show show, but of course, tomorrow this big one is happening with the Old Achimota Association, and we want to get all the information that we'll need. And this morning, we are joined by Accra Kwesi Oko, a former board chair of Achimota and a chairman of the Achimota Speaks Planning Committee, and Accra Elizabeth Irene Beattie, CEO of Port Olab and a member of the committee. Accra Ezekiel Adi as well, member of the committee. Thank you. I hope that I didn't butcher the name. Did I do good?
Don't
you
worry.
did well. Thank you so much. Right. So tomorrow, Chairman, let me know tomorrow what's happening.
Well, tomorrow we are having the Achimota Speaks discussion. And it's a part of a series of discussions we've had over the years since 1917, when Achimota turned 90. And we started this series of discussions on very many topics. In 17, we did one show a month.
Okay.
And it was very successful. So we decided we'll keep it going because in 2027, Achimota is going to turn 100. So we're doing this steadily until 2027, when we will do one a month again.
Okay.
So in between, we're doing 2 a year. So this is the second one for this year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a public platform. We invite all sorts of people to come aboard to come and help us do the discussions.
Okay.
Not just Achimota.
Okay. Elizabeth, what's the theme for this year?
Healthcare and death care, MFR.
Okay, that's interesting. Quite sharp.
Everybody in Ghana knows somebody who has had a nightmare of an experience in our healthcare facilities, and yet we have made progress. Ghana ranks quite highly in West Africa. I think we probably have the best healthcare system in West Africa and come probably in the top 10 in Africa, and yet there are certain gaps. We know of people who have gone to the hospital with all sorts of issues, and our biggest challenges in Ghana right now, maternal and child mortality, infections, trauma. When people have accidents and they are rushed to the hospital, are we sure they are going to be nursed back to health, or does the facility lack what it needs to attend to these patients? And if so, what are the issues we are looking at? Is it funding? Is it equipment? Is it the brain drain? Because we all know how well healthcare professionals are paid abroad. Is it that we don't have enough? Is it that people just present late with a lot of problems as well? What are the essential issues we are facing? And what is it that we can do in order to make sure that we are improving on what we have already done so far?
That's very well thought through, something I definitely would love to be part of. But Ezekiel, let me know, where is it happening, the venue, time and date?
Okay, great. Thanks so much, MFR. So Achimota Speaks this November is happening at the Ghana Shippers Authority Auditorium at 6 p.m. However, because of travel situations, we advise that you get there on time at 5:30. And it's happening tomorrow. So tomorrow is the 12th of November. So please make sure you tell your friends, your family, and it's open to everybody. Even though the platform says Achimota Speaks, it's open to everybody. So Infansipim, Perseg, Wesley Girls, Holy Cool, everybody, you are invited. Even MFI, you are invited.
Generous of you for opening it up for. But Chairman, who are the speakers for, or the experts for this panel?
We actually have Accra Dr. Teddy Totime. He's a neurosurgeon and he's passionate about children and advancing surgical care in West Africa. We have Accra Dr. Lydia Jani Selby, who used to be the medic in charge of Achimota School, but also is a retired CEO of the National Health Insurance Authority. So she's coming with a lot of experience into the funding and access of healthcare. And then we also have Mr. William Ofori, who is coming from a background of pharmaceuticals. And to steer this conversation, to draw out all the insights, we have none other than Accra Kafuide.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, I hate that my time is just... but Chairman, quickly, maybe I'll give you maybe the final word. Why should people be part of this? And any other information you'd like to share that I didn't ask?
Yes. Well, our topic, as she has said, is it healthcare or death care?
Yeah.
Healthcare is existential. You're either healthy or you're dead. So we want to make sure that everybody stays healthy by making sure that the systems, the policies in place, the practices are as good as they ought to be. Our job is to influence the people who make the decisions to finance our healthcare systems.
Right.
So we invite them to the place. If they don't come, we send them memoranda after, so that it can influence their policy.
Right.
Making sure that everybody who goes to the hospital goes with confidence that they are going to be helped.
Okay. But Ezekiel, is it open to the public? I see that you're throwing an invitation, but
yes,
it's open.
It's open to the public. And like you indicated, as Achimota turns 100 in 2027, this is one of the events that's going to happen. So after Achimota speaks on Wednesday, on Saturday, we have the blank cards happening at the Achimota School Old Assembly Hall. So everybody's invited. Tickets are going for 200 cedis now discounted for adults and 100 cedis for students. You can use the short code *920 *93 *100# to purchase your tickets online as well. And make sure that you come. It's open, have fun, and we're going to have an amazing time.
Do well to come back to tell me how it went, because my time is surely really up. But thank you so much, Chairman Elizabeth and you, Ezekiel. And
thank you,
all the best tomorrow, okay?
Thank you.
Now, that's how we wrap the show. Thank you for staying with us, but please stay for News Desk with Mamesi.